yeah.
How you doing, Jack?
I'm doing okay. I've had a heck of a week. I don't
Yeah,
know if I could say a hell of a week, but it's been a hell of
yeah,
a week.
you can. I mean, we're not on the radio side yet, and you could say that word, but uh, just leaves us, uh, an opening to say the other ones. You know?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been one of those weeks where I have my gallery reception Friday night, so I had to put up a huge art display
yeah.
um
How did that
this
all
past
go?
this
Did
past
did you did you make out like a bandit?
No, it's this Friday.
Oh, it's this
So
Friday. I thought it was last
yeah.
Friday.
No, that's why I'm so busy. It's always the first, they always have what's called First Friday in the art world.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much every first Friday of every month, the galleries in any city are open late and they have wine and stuff like that. And they feature an artist, and this particular gallery is featuring me this time. So,
That's so awesome, Jack. That really is.
yeah.
What do you got for tonight for us?
Well, we're going to explore the architecture of the rabbit hole of the lost city of the Grand Canyon,
Hmm.
but we're going to tie in a lot of other stuff like the Hopi legends and the Sumerian Anunnaki. Really interesting connections there that really can't be denied, and linguists are at a complete loss to explain what I'll be talking about tonight. So that'll be fun.
Looking
And
forward to it.
we got some weird news too, like this brilliant scientist that's he's like a theoretical mathematician and like a astrophysicist. He says he's got undeniable proof that we're living in a simulation. So, and I read his white paper, and it is very interesting. We're going to talk about that tonight. So,
Yep, we are the Sims.
right, right. How was your week?
Uh, it was actually pretty good. It's been actually very good this week. Um, Looking forward to the weekend. I got my daughter coming in tomorrow, and I'll have her for this weekend too. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Excellent. Yeah, that's
Okay,
great.
we got 30 seconds, and then we're gonna get you going. Actually,
Exactly.
less. It's really good to have you back, Jack. I know that you had some issues last week, but
Yeah,
uh,
very sick mother-in-law, but
yeah. Here's your countdown: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you are live on the radio side right now.
welcome back, everybody, to Paranormal Intelligence Agency Radio Live. I'm your host, Jim Carey. We are broadcasting from 300 feet deep in an abandoned nuclear missile silo somewhere lost in the post-apocalyptic wastelands of the Dakota Territories. And just today, high above us was circling the Black Knight satellite. Interesting little tie-in. It's been I'll get to the Black Knight in a minute, but this has been a really crazy week on the great space roller coaster that we call the Earth. And, it's worth pointing out the war in Iran and all of that stuff taking place right now. I guess, interestingly enough, Iran is the ancient Persia of biblical times, and it was from Persia that the three magi approached what they believed to be a king born unto them. which would turn out to be, of course, Jesus. And it's interesting to point out that it was the Magi of Persia who held the star prophecy. And these guys were astrologers, they were mathematicians, they were kind of the scientists of their day, and they practiced magic. Something that is really kind of underground today in Persia because of the Muslim religion over there. But back in that time, it was a fully accepted practice. And today, you know, we call those abilities psionics. That's the official term of the U.S. government, psionics. And today they're using, you know, the same meditation techniques to summon UFOs. Fascinating stuff, how everything really ties together. But tonight, you know, our main topic is going to be exploring the architecture of the rabbit hole of the lost city of the Grand Canyon, and kind of pick out one of the, or numerous rabbit holes. I think what I'll do is point out the various rabbit holes that really stem off from this major mystery that we have. Not many people have heard of the lost city of the Grand Canyon, unless you've been following me for long enough. Then you've heard me talk about it before, I'm sure, but it's a fascinating rabbit hole to go down. And I've got a little personal tie-in to it just because I have a friend who, I would consider him a pretty close friend, but he was trained by the CIA to actually find treasure and like precious metal deposits, right? And that's interesting. That's going to tie in here because what that tells us is that the CIA is interested in treasure. And as we will see, the CIA features prominently later on in this mystery. So we'll be talking about that. It's been a crazy time. If you have been following what I refer to as the cyber prophecies, the interesting stuff that came out of the Alta reports, the original Alta reports of the WebBot. Now, this was prior to the internet becoming polluted with AI chatbots and things like that. There was an algorithm designed in order to basically be able to pick up speech patterns worldwide and narrow all of that down to a sequence of future events that would take place. How that takes place and why it takes place, to make a long story short, is because the human race is collectively psychic. On some level, we operate like a single species, and that ability shows up in our speech patterns. In other words, if you can narrow it down enough and use the right algorithms, you can determine that people are actually predicting events before they take place, and conversations going on around the world. And that's basically what it did. And it was able to project really far into the future, as we would consider it. Of course, time is an illusion and doesn't really exist according to our mathematics. And yet everything we see seems to operate on the principle of time. So maybe that will also feature into some really weird news that came out this week. And, you know, there's a really, really smart scientist out there in the world, and you can Google this or ask AI about this story, but he basically claims that he's got indisputable proof that we are, in fact, living in a simulation. And I did peruse his research. It's very interesting. He, to whittle it down and not bore people, basically what he's saying is that in the observable reality that we're in, everything operates on a principle of entropy. In other words, over time, everything breaks down. Heat dissipates, etc., except for information. Somehow, information doesn't do that. And what he's saying is that could only take place, that could only happen if we were actually living inside of a computer system of some kind. In other words, there's a architectural structure around our reality that's allowing for the transfer of information without entropy. That is probably will define the future of human research, is determining whether or not that is in fact the case. So I equate it to really we're sort of the research rat, and they've played around with our genetics long enough that we're beginning to see the bars of our cage. That's a profound place to be. And I'll remind everybody that we are in the upswing of the Kali Yuga. That is a good place to be, irregardless of the chaos that we see. The upswing of the Kali Yuga in the grand principle of planetary cycles, the ancient art of observing planetary cycles, is the spot where the human race begins to enter into a new golden age. And every so often we enter into golden ages, and every so often we go through dark ages. And how that is determined is by our position on this planet to galactic center, the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And every so often we're kind of in a bad spot, because there is a debris field that sort of blocks our planet from galactic center, except during certain periods of this planetary cycle, in which we kind of pop up out of the debris field's path and pop. Sometimes we go down. It's like a big circle that takes place. We're going up and down and up and down. And as we do, we get bombarded with rays from galactic center. That is the Kali Yuga. And when you get bombarded with all of these rays, it affects biological life in really positive ways. It seems to be a fundamental mechanism of the universe itself, and perhaps goes back to, really profound divine kind of stuff, like the heartbeat of God, that kind of thing. So it's very interesting that we're going through this chaotic period, because in the upswing of a Kali Yuga, you have a really turbulent period that takes place just as you basically pass out of the old, being blocked by galactic center, into the new, where you're being bombarded by galactic center, is a turbulent time. But once you get through it, good things really start to happen. I've often wondered if, the powers that be currently are aware of this planetary cycle, because they keep talking about a new golden age. I've heard it time and again. So if we can survive the little turbulence we're going through, then we will actually, I believe, go on to search and explore the stars. At least in our immediate vicinity. It looks like, they've discovered with our reversed engineered technology, coming from alien species, that really the way to travel through space is by bending space and time inside of a bubble and projecting from point A to point B without traveling. You're kind of bending space, so you don't have to travel. You just make a little jump from point A to point B and you're there. That's really going to be the future of space travel. And, at that stage, space is wide open. If it's never ending, then imagine what you could discover with that. But I digress. I'm known for my dubious speculation, as they like to say, and I'm proud of it. So, but gosh, it's been crazy time. It's still if you've been following the show, you'll know the cyber prophecies, the webbot reports, and a cross current of corroboration coming from the future forecasting group headed up by Dick Algeier, CIA trained, remote viewers. I say CIA trained. They took that program and now they openly train other people to do that. And Dick Algeier has been able to kind of assemble the best of the best around the world, and they formed a group, and a lot of their viewings have corroborated the webbot reports in such a way that they led me to believe that there was an extremely high probability of many of those events occurring. And that in turn led us into the, crypto market, cryptocurrency market, precious metals, especially silver. Not a financial advice giver at all, but I am, a polymath with a photographic memory, and I'm able to basically pursue a lot of different interests, and that's one of my interests. And as such, I've become pretty proficient with basically trading cryptocurrencies and precious metals. So all I can say is it's still a crypto winter out there. Not a lot happening, although I think today Ethereum was up about 9%. There's a major resistance level right around 2,500. If it can break that, who knows? It might recuperate, but the crypto market hasn't been the same since the October 10th deleveraging event. That's what it's now called among the Wall Street elites. Nobody knows who did it or how it occurred. But a stable coin on some major market maker flashed 75 cents instead of $1. That should never happen. When it did, it caused a computerized cascade of margin calls from highly leveraged traders. That means when you get a margin call, the brokerage house force sells your position and takes their money back that you had borrowed from them to leverage the trade, because they're not going to tolerate you losing it all. So they're watching, and you hit a certain point, bam, they trip your order and trip your margin call, and you're out, plus the loss, plus the interest on the margin, plus, it's a brutal, I explain it to people like this. It is a gladiator arena doing what I do. So don't do it. It takes an extreme amount of agility to do what I do, and you need the knowledge of how to read real-time charting that's taking place. The buyers and the sellers duking it out candle by candle by candle. And if you can't do that or have the time to do it, then it's not really for you. The best, you can't go wrong, in my opinion, and history proves this true, in buying like gold and just holding it. If you had done that for the past like 80 years, you would have beaten the entire stock market, the S&P, even the, well, I don't think you would have beaten Bitcoin. I don't know. I'll have to look that up because Bitcoin's gone up 64 million% since it was invented. 64 million%. That's incredible, right? But it's having an identity crisis at the moment. Nobody really can tell you what Bitcoin is. Is it a store of value? Is it digital gold? What is Bitcoin? Because right now you can trade tokenized gold. That means trading gold on the blockchain. So why would you need Bitcoin? Doesn't make any sense. So, my base case thesis is that I don't think Bitcoin has much of a future. I know that it's a limited coin. There's only 21 million of them available, and therein lies the value. But unless they figure out a way for it to begin to yield an interest for the asset holder, they have a potentially terminal problem. You take juxtaposition to that crypto like Ethereum, and when you own Ethereum, you can do what's called staking, and that's basically where you agree not to sell it for a certain period of time. Although now you can unstake instantly, I'm told. But when you stake it, you're earning interest yield on your money, and that's a very good thing. I mean, that's something that over time could become extremely valuable. So we'll see what happens in the future here. I don't really mess with the other coins just because I think they're too highly speculative, and a lot of them won't survive. So that's just the way it is. We'll see how the so-called level 2s do being built on the Ethereum network. And I recently read an article where the guy who invented Ethereum is now about to begin doing what he calls quantum defense. So in other words, they're building into the encryption of that particular cryptocurrency a way to fight against quantum computers of the future. Because quantum computers of the future are could possibly break the codes on cryptocurrency. So that's kind of where we're at with that. What have I been doing? Well, gold. I'm sticking with gold right now. I have discovered a way of trading gold back and forth that's been extremely good for me. So everybody's got to kind of find their own niche, and I'm discovering that sticking with gold has really been the smartest play. So, and as we go into the future, the Webbot predicts really an implosion of the fiat currency system. I mean, you can take your pick which fiat currency. It doesn't really matter. People have long predicted the demise of the dollar. You're always going to have a dollar. The question is, how many of them will it take to buy a loaf of bread? Right? Well, it predicts it's going to take many, many, many dollars to buy a loaf of bread. And really, the store of value will be something else that we don't really have unless it's cryptocurrency. So that's kind of how all of that ties together. Tonight's rabbit hole, though, our main topic is fascinating because it ties into so many other rabbit holes. And what if I told you that there's sufficient evidence to present a logical case that an ancient city was discovered in the Grand Canyon, and it was covered up. And people always say, well, why would they cover that up? Because we were right in the middle of Western expansion when that occurred. And the Smithsonian was charged with what is called manifest destiny. So anything, that kind of interrupted the accepted view of history during that period was all covered up. Bones of giants, all covered up. Evidence of Egyptians having been in the United States, covered up. You name it. They employed a lot of explorers that were known to be explorers before the Smithsonian employed them, and those explorers were able to go out and find a lot of this evidence, or just came across it and shipped it all back to the Smithsonian, and it all just disappeared. We do have a witness who claimed that his grandfather told him that they were taking the bones of the giants out on big boats and they were just dumping them in the ocean. So the Smithsonian features prominently into tonight's topic because the explorer who discovered the city was working for the Smithsonian at the time. And we know all of this because of a front page news article published in the Phoenix Gazette in 1907. And it was in the Phoenix Gazette that they actually had witnessed this gentleman coming down the Colorado River with a boatload of artifacts. And every one of those artifacts was described. We're going to get into that in detail. And I mentioned earlier about the Black Knight satellite. I wanted to mention that before we get back to our main topic, because nobody can explain the Black Knight satellite. And it was this week that I remembered that there was an interesting group of CIA-trained remote viewers who had targeted the Black Knight satellite. And this kind of features into the cryptozoology world, fascinatingly enough. And what they said was the Black Knight satellite was some type of machine created by non-human intelligence, an alien species, and that it could somehow capture the living essence of creatures that had lived in the past on this planet, and then was able to project them back down onto the earth in fleshy form. Imagine how advanced you would have to be to have a fleshy hologram. But how much could we explain crazy cryptid animal activity if that were true? Anyway, we'll get back to our main topic right after our break.
All right, we're on radio break, Jack.
Cool.
I like how you make it so mysterious.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's creepy sometimes.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we're going.
That's what we're going
The
for.
truth is creepy, darn it.
Truth is creepy. Yes. Facts are creepy too. When you put them together to figure out the truth,
Exactly.
Yeah. I've never thought about the Black Knight satellite being a projector to do that.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? I never thought about it either, and they blindly targeted it, and that's what they came up with. I was like, wow, how would your mind even conceive of that if it weren't like a real thing,
Or, so, the technology for that would be crazy, too. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a hologram that can actually pick up hold things and make footprints.
Right. Leave physical evidence.
Yeah.
A fleshy hologram. That's basically what they describe.
That would really make sense. When you don't find like caveman type hauntings too.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Or is Bigfoot that haunting?
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe they're just, ghosts. They are. Know. They sure move like one.
Which means, I guess there's been signals sent from out of the galaxy to and from that satellite as well that's been picked up. So who's to say, if some of those creatures and things were just here, from here, brought back from time. That could be from other places.
Oh yeah, completely. Yeah, and that would explain,
or like Star Trek, beamed in, beamed out, to do like an away mission.
Right.
And it's just some crazy stuff. We got we have Great Conspiracy and Roger restreaming us tonight. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
So, thanks, guys. But yeah, it's a crazy. And if you know what, maybe we are in a simulation because it would explain a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it sure would. But, I'm like, that pterosaur that flew in front of my truck that time, it was so real.
Right.
But, to have, be beamed, I still think that we have, like, pockets of, like, creatures like that survived. We're under 30 seconds, so we're going to get a countdown pretty soon.
Lazarus species.
Yeah, they might not be as big as what they used to be, or, they might be, they're different over time. Anyways, here comes your countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And Jack, you are back live and on the radio side right now.
Back everybody to Paranormal Intelligence Agency Radio Live. I'm your host, Jack Carey, your tour guide to the Twilight Zone. I've got a face for milk cartons and a voice for smell-o-vision. And tonight we are talking about a lost city in the Grand Canyon. It was published on the front page of the 1907, I believe it was the April edition, but don't quote me on that, of the Phoenix Gazette. And, what can I say? That he reported that this guy came down the river. His name was S.A. Jordan. He was known as an explorer of his day. That this guy really lived, right? There was a whole history of his life. So it'd be weird for them to make up a story and then use this guy as the figure in the story when he was a real living figure. Wouldn't he have said, no, that wouldn't be, that nothing like that ever happened. So, but anyway, his testimony, and he had artifacts to prove it, was that on his exploration down the Colorado River, he noticed a hand-hewn doorway right in the side of a sheer rock cliff, right? And he also noticed that there were hand-hewn steps going all the way down, basically to the water. Um, and so he was able to maneuver his boat over to the steps and actually get up this thing and into the doorway, where he says he discovered a vast city. It was like an eight-spoked wheel with a central hub, and then huge like corridors that went off in eight different directions. He said it could house at least 50,000 people. That's a vast city. One of the artifacts he mainly described seeing was this figure that to him looked very oriental. And he described something that looked like a lotus flower too. But all of these kind of iconography that he describes can't really be put into any one specific culture. It's fascinating. But he boxed all of these artifacts up. He shipped them back to the Smithsonian, and today they have disappeared like so many other historical relics, right? But what's interesting is that we have a lot of other peripheral evidence for the city existing. First of all, there's been two other eyewitnesses to the city's existence in the form of two hikers that actually got lost in the part of the Grand Canyon that is actually forbidden to any human. I bet you didn't know that there's areas in the Grand Canyon where they are completely off limits, even to park personnel. Think about that. And every little peak around this forbidden zone has an Egyptian name. That would be fascinating enough, along with the testimony of a lost city. But when you consider the fact that you can plot all of those peaks that have these Egyptian names and the city, and it becomes a spot-on match for the layout at Giza. How is that possible? If there weren't some kind of either Egyptian or much, much older connection, and that's my thesis. I think the connection to this lost city is much, much older. The city must still be there unless they somehow destroyed it, but maybe one day, they'll come out and say, yeah, the city exists, this ancient city. I brought up the CIA earlier in treasure hunting because when I was told that the CIA actually trains people to actually go out and find treasure for them, that opened up a whole realm of possibilities, right? Why would they do that? Because it's undeclared money. They can get rid of it. They can sell it on the black market. They can melt it down. They can do any number of things with it. And then they can use that money to fund unfunded projects, black projects that are probably illegal, highly illegal. And that's why they need untraceable money, which is why they train people to go out and find ancient treasures that they can then pillage and sell. That was the program that he was involved with, my friend, and it leads me to believe that something very similar must have happened here. It's quite possible that the CIA also found, or government agents of the day were taken back to that location by S.A. Jordan, and they discovered a vast amount of gold, because it's right at this time period that a vast amount of unexplained gold suddenly just appears in the U.S. government's treasury. Just appears. Nobody can explain it. Look that up. How is it possible that you have the discovery of an ancient city in the Grand Canyon at exactly the same time that the largest deposit of gold in U.S. history just appears in the U.S. Treasury? Must be a coincidence. But this particular rabbit hole in this lost city ties into so many other mysteries, ancient mysteries, that it really starts to boggle the mind, right? You know, first of all, you have what appeared to have been a worldwide civilization at some point, a world culture that were pyramid builders. And it was the same culture that built all of them around the world. You have all of the evidence for Tartaria existing. People are beginning to really delve into the idea that Tartaria may have really existed. And if that's true, oh boy, what a Pandora's box that is. Because what that does is it lends a lot of credence and probability to the dark thesis, the dark hypothesis, as it's known, that I covered the week before last on my radio show. The dark hypothesis is something that, well, most people shouldn't read in depth. It can cause extreme depression, things like that. And it made Jimmy Carter cry. So, you know, you have to take that into account. You're making a president cry when he reads it. And, you know, there's probably a lot of people out there that would do the same or worse. Which brings me up to the point that I'm taking the dark thesis and presenting it kind of in a new light. And that will be appearing in a new book of mine, and it's simply called Dark Thesis by Jack Gary. Will be coming out in the next few weeks. And, you know, it's an exploration of the dark hypothesis, but in the idea that it could be simply our perception is wrong. That may be, this all ties into the type 3 civilization that seeded our planet. So be looking for that when it comes out. My good friend Billy Carson of Ancient Alien fame always taught me or told me, Jack, you always sell your books at the beginning of the show, not the end. I thought it was the funniest thing I ever heard. He laughed and laughed. But if you notice, Billy Carson does that. He always sells his books at the beginning of the show. Huh. That's a good advice, isn't it, Mark?
Well, if you want to turn it into an infomercial, that's why I'll skip like the first like 5 or 10 minutes of Billy's stuff.
Right, exactly. It's funny. But anyway, the lost city of the Grand Canyon, the unexplained gold, and then you have a really strange linguistic mystery that linguists are at a total loss to explain. And that is, it's tied into the Hopi prophecies and the Hopi history, their sacred history. And I find a lot of beauty in the Pueblo Indians' history and their culture. And I spent a lot of time with the Navajo tribes in the Four Corner area. And it's a really, really interesting, rich culture. But the Hopi believe that at some point in the past, their ancestors were taken down into the earth by the ant people. That's what they refer to them as, the ant people, right? Well, the Hopi have two words to describe the ant people. The ant friends, by the way, they consider these beings to be friends of their ancestors. Well, the word ant in the Hopi is anu, and the word friend is naki. You put those two together, ant friend, and you have the word Anunnaki. How fascinating is that? Because there is absolutely no explanation for how it is that you would have two words that would basically mean the same kind of strange connotation that you get from the Anunnaki Sumerian tablets, in which they described an alien race, coming down onto the earth. The word Anunnaki in Sumerian means those from the skies to the earth came, right? And then you have the biblical sort of version of that in Genesis 6:4, when it talks about the sons of God, the Nephilim and all of that had, they bred with human women, they had offspring. And these offspring actually become the very first kings around the world. And they were known as the Serpent Kings. That's all real history. And probably they were the pyramid builders. So all of this ties together. Is it possible that the ant friends of the Hopi, the Anunnaki of the Sumerian, were the same? And is it possible that they were responsible for building this lost city? Because in the story of the Anunnaki, some of them were basically cast down to the earth, and they were cast down because they tried to get one over on what's called the Grand Council and Anu himself. The Anunnaki were the people of Anu. Anu was still alive. Anu was the supreme god, right? And he had two sons, Enki and Enlil, and he put them in charge of mining the earth of its gold, because they needed the gold to turn into basically gold dust, and then they were going to put it into their atmosphere to reflect the sun, because their atmosphere had become damaged through a war that they had with another alien species. So one of the sons, his name was Enki, was a genetic scientist, and his wife was a geneticist, and her name was Ninkarsag. And it's said that they're responsible for creating humans to be a worker race for the Anunnaki, to do the mining for them. And Enki and his wife, when it was discovered by them that the Grand Council of the Anunnaki had decided to wipe out all of the humans they created, basically made a secret plot to save some of them from destruction. And this is the story of Noah, right? And when it was discovered by Anu and the Grand Council that this treachery had taken place, and they had made this plot to basically go against what they had ruled, he decided to cast Enki and his followers, which were 200, and his wife, down to the earth forever. It even says in the Bible, in Genesis, that they were 200 in number, right? Descending down on Mount Armon. And that's in Turkey today. But imagine that you were marooned on a desert island. You had no technology, no medical supplies, no food stores, nothing. You were cast down with nothing. What could you build? What would you build with no tools, no technology? Because these guys went around the earth building monuments and crazy stone structures that we can't even duplicate today with our best technology. And they were doing it without anything, right? They started from scratch and were able to do that. So they were pretty powerful beings. And once they were cast down and the rest of the Anunnaki had left, they went about teaching their offspring as they saw them the art of using their biology to interact. Now you have to realize that Inky's wife, Ninkarsag, it is said, used some of his DNA to create the human species. So the human species had royal Anunnaki blood, royal Anunnaki DNA. And so because of that DNA, we have the ability to use our biology in the ability to basically affect reality around us in a way that is unseen, right? And today we call that psychic ability or psionics. Back then it was called magic, and it was referred to that in the book of Enoch and in the book of Genesis, etc. So it was only because those abilities were frowned upon by the later church in the Dark Ages, the Catholic Church, etc., that all went underground, began to take on the iconography and symbolism of that was opposite of the oppressing religion that was trying to hold it down. And today it's open. They just changed the name of it. And then they openly discuss it and then teach it in laboratory conditions to some of our government-controlled psychics. So all of that ties together, guys, in a really strange, weird rabbit hole, right? And we're still trying to discover our past. We have little bits, little fragments, but like Graham Hancock always says, the human species is a species with amnesia. And there again, that ties back into the dark thesis, because if you listen to what Cliff High has to say, the inventor of the WebBot, he says it appears to have been a forced amnesia. Somebody didn't want us to remember our past. Whoever that is, it must be a danger for them, for us to remember our past. And all of that keeps, feeding back into this feedback loop of the possibility, right, of what I mentioned earlier of us maybe being in a simulation. It would explain so much. And the remote viewers who viewed the Black Knight satellite, they basically said that whatever alien intelligence had created it was waiting for us to be able to determine that those mysteries were actually being projected down onto the earth. And as soon as we began to look behind the veil of that occurring, it will lead us into the first conversation with this intelligence. That's what they predicted. So, it's very, very interesting. I guess what we could do is we could start to refer, if this scientist evidence is what he claims it to be, undeniable, proof that we're in a simulation. Does that mean that God's a computer programmer? It's just a question, philosophical or otherwise, right? Doesn't mean that we shouldn't consider them God or whatever, or put some divine value there, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I prefer the Great Pez Dispenser. I'm going with the Great Pez Dispenser. That's God for me. So, so what will the Great Pez Dispenser have for us next on the Great Space Roller Coaster? God, it's been a ride, has it not? And all we have to do is look around at all these crazy, crazy rabbit holes that are in our reality and really begin to wonder just what the hell is going on around here, right? There was a man named Albert Hubbard, and he said, the paranormal is the normal, just not yet understood by science. I think that that is a really good quote, right? And for me personally, being attracted to the anomalies of the reality matrix has been far more valuable than studying the static nature, right? It's the anomalies that appear in the matrix that tell us most about its nature. And where do you find the anomalies? You find them in paranormal and esoteric research. And all of the esoteric mysteries, all of the mystery schools that were formed to house the esoteric mysteries all stem from this interaction of the, well, let's just call them marooned Anunnaki here on the earth before they died. And they all did die eventually. They lived extremely long lifespans, and that was recorded in the Bible. Their offspring still lived extremely long lifespans, but as the DNA became more and more diluted, that lifespan became shorter and shorter and shorter. And so they weren't immortal. They did die. And Inky's tomb is something I believe I have discovered in the south of France. I wrote an entire book about that, actually, and it's called The Enoch Code. And that's actually a really good seller on Amazon. So if you want to deep dive into where the lost tomb of Inky could be, and I give the exact location, then the Enoch Code is for you. It traces all of the Enoch Code through history, and it's really a well-researched book. Over 200 quotes from experts in their fields. So, but guys, join me next week. We will get crazy and jump down another one of these rabbit holes. Probably going to have more of a cryptid type show next week. Pardon me. Just because we got some catching up to do in that world. And until then, I will see you guys on the radio.
Great job, Jack. Hang with me until I get us cleared off of TMV Cafe. And
go.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Good show.
Good, thanks.
Yep. All right, I'll get this up and out.
And I will get you that code this next week. I should be because I'll be past my gallery show, and that's what's been killing me. So I had to produce 3 new paintings for it, and all this stuff. So, but yeah, I'll get that going too.
I just cleared from there. Yeah, hey, Jack, check into this. There's these South American Bigfoot in Peru I think it's Peru and
Okay.
Venezuela. They it's like in the 1800s or something like that. They came across them, and people shot at them, and there's like groups and tribes of them, and there's literally areas that you're not allowed to go into because of fear, because they'll cannibalize you. I was reading a story not long ago about that, and it was quite interesting. And I was wondering if maybe you had some new intelligence about that.
No,
Anything
but I'm
going on
gonna
down there?
totally.
Yeah, in fact, they look kind of like the spider monkey down there, and they have the same
Really?
kind of face, but they don't have a tail, and they are human size and larger
Wow.
from the
That's
description.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. So see if you can dig something up on that. That was quite interesting. It's a Bigfoot type. I don't know if it's the same thing that we encounter here or what. You know, it's a South American, Central America type thing.
Sweet. I'm gonna totally check that out.
All right. So I'm
Thanks.
gonna let you go, and I gotta get Miss Nancy going.
Sounds good.
All right.
Tell
You take
Nancy
care.
hello. I'll come on the show one of these days
All right. I'll
once
tell her.
I'm not so busy.
All right. All
All right.
right.
All right. Bye bye.
All right. Bye. That was Jack Carey, and I'm getting Vixen's Vault set up here right now. I'm a little bit behind compared to normal on that, but I just wanted to make sure that she had enough time to get everybody together. Let's get them in the room. David can't be in. David in, and I'm also trying to get Vicky in.
She's waiting.
then-
Raphael's in the wings too.
Yeah, I did try to call him just a second ago. Where'd Raph go? Raph. Oh, it's still trying to call him. Okay.
Yep, give him a moment because I had to remind him that I was like, are you looking at the time? He's like, what? I was like, it's Wednesday. He was like, oh crap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get OBS switched over to your show, and we will be good to go.
Hello, Roger and Mark and
Hey, how's it
Good
going?
evening, Mr. Campione. Good evening.
Sorry. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I'm really tired.
It's all right. It's all right. Do what you can.
I was trying to get that blood moon the other day, and I got up at 3 a.m. and I've worked pushing logs today, and I'm exhausted. But anyway,
Ah, did you see my
Things
photo
that-
of it?
no, it was fogged in. We were fogged in and clouded and cloudy skies. So anybody else see it?
It was beautiful. It was,
Oh,
oh my
wow.
God, it was brilliant. And tonight we have a harvest moon coming up, and it is gorgeous.
Man, I missed it.
Well, I'm trying to get Mark and Rath in here with us, and
I'm telling you, Teams is having an issue, Mark, because it took me a minute to connect, and that doesn't ever happen with me.
yeah.
Had no problem.
I think what was it?
Yeah, that too.
Cloud. that cloud thing is affecting everything again. I had some problems with a couple platforms doing the music show in between.
Amazon,
You got 30 seconds.
I was going to say Amazon web servers went down again today. T-Mobile was down for a while yesterday and today.
Oh,
So there's been a bunch of issues going on. I would say that it looks like, again, penetration stinks, but it is what it is.
terrorist?
Yep.
Terrorist, huh?
It's either white hat or black hat, but it's not a bunch of independents. We'll put it that way.
All right. Once I get you up and on the air, there's Raph. Welcome in, Raph. We missing someone? There he
There
is,
he
Mark.
is.
There's Mark Edwards.
Look out, cats, dogs, and kids. Your countdown is right now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And Nancy, you are live and on the radio side for the very first time tonight. Right now.
And welcome everybody to the Vixen's Fault. As promised, we have returned 1 week later. Gasp! Really gasp? Not really. All right, guys, welcome to the vault. It has been a very, again, it's like every week I'm saying it. It has been a very interesting week, and it's kind of cool because it follows along with a lot of my UFOlogy stuff and a lot of stuff going on. I mean, people are starting to pay attention, which I find very, I guess you could say, relieving, because it's been years that only a few of us have really paid attention. And everybody else just kind of went on their way and did their thing. Why? Because that's life. Y'all are busy. I think they purposefully keep everybody in chaos, so you don't have a lot of time to stop and really look at things. But people are actually starting to be interested and connect to things. They have knowledge now that they've never had before. And I just, like I said, I find it very interesting. Now, one of the things I saw today that really, I was like, whoop, my head literally jerked back because I went, what am I looking at right now? That is one of the most unusual things I've seen in a long time. And it was something I put together like pretty much automatically with a bunch of other information. But what was posted or what was said was that basically that the U.S. military overseas and in the Middle East are basically preparing their troops in a very interesting way. Apparently, they're going biblical. And they're saying that, there's been scuttlebutt that, of the return of Christ. And it's just very strange, the information that's being disseminated to our troops overseas. And of course, the way I work, you guys, you figure me out at this point. My brain goes click, click, boom. And I'm like, oh Lord, they're really they're setting up the troops for a blue beam even. Or they're setting up the public again by releasing a statement like this. It may be true, it may be untrue, but it is definitely a prelude. There is no reason for something like that to be made public at all unless you have some kind of an agenda behind it that you need to follow and sync to that announcement. Okay, so we've had, and again, it makes me think, what have we had? What other things have happened recently? Well, we had Ecuador, where basically the public at large was made aware of technology that I've known about for decades. In fact, Vicky and I, Vicky Vass on the show, we first became friends because of this technology. Do you remember that, Vicky? Is she there? Hello?
She's muted.
She's muted. Vicky, unmute.
Okay.
Unmute.
Yes.
There she
yes.
is.
Euler.
Okay, so
Euler.
when Fry. Yeah. So literally, Vicky and I became acquainted because she was looking for information about. I think it wasn't.
Yes.
You didn't know what it was called, but it was EMF. And
It was my
you had
friend who was.
Yep. Go ahead.
He was having what he thought was Havana syndrome, this terrible headaches, um, and I asked you about it, and you told me what he could do to stop that or those headaches coming from the what he thought was 5G, but yeah.
Yep. Well, it could have been 5G because 5G does carry a lot of those frequencies in it.
Uh-huh.
But it could have also been, and I said that to you, I think I sent you the information on V2K, Voice to Skull.
Right.
And I think I gave you Les EMF's website where he could order like hats and stuff to try to
Yes.
protect his brain.
Yep, that's what I gave him.
And
Yep.
I remember laughing because I was like, this is truly the tinfoil hat website. I remember laughing over that because that is really what it is.
And we're loyal to the foil.
Yeah,
It works.
but I remember because again, because I was in the paranormal for so long, and EMF is something that we deal with in the paranormal on a regular basis to either rule things out or rule things in. But you have to know what EMF is. You have to know what natural EMF is and what man-created EMF is, and what the symptoms of it are, what it's capable of doing, what it does to your anatomy. In fact, a lot of times when you have a list of questions on an investigation, one of the first things you ask your people is, hey, do you sleep with like a computer or a cell phone next to your bed? Is your router in your bedroom? Do you have, I mean, we go through a checklist of things that you do not want anywhere close to your head, especially when you're sleeping. And a question is always, why not? Well, because one, you're going to get roaring headaches. Two, it can actually create a huge disruption in your sleep. And three, it literally changes your brain waves. But it can cause anxiety. It can cause high blood pressure. It can cause all of these things. Well, wait a minute. Why don't they tell us that? Like when we buy it, why don't they say, don't put this near your head? And I was like, well, because nobody's going to buy it if they think it's dangerous. I mean, but it's kind of common sense.
No, because this is still these are ongoing studies.
No, Mark, EMF has long been, they have known for decades.
Phone, 4G, 5G is an ongoing study. Bluetooth.
Yes, but 4G, 5G but it's a form of electromagnetic frequency.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. And they don't tell you that. And it's like, even with, like I said, even with paranormal investigators, you forget I've been doing it since the 1990s. So we're talking when you said that to like somebody who is educated in science, they would laugh at you. Oh, that's not true. Oh, yeah, it is. It's very true, because we can tell, because the Arctic, the EMFs are higher up there, and so are the ELFs. And those affect the populations up there. So,
also,
I mean,
you could argue that about TVs or radios.
Yes.
Do you have a bedside clock radio?
That's another one. In fact, one of the things I would also ask people is, are you on a more modern bedding? Is it a platform bed, or are you still do you have a bed with the metal rails? The underside is metal, because that actually conducts those frequencies while you're sleeping. So if you have a spring bed, you may actually want to think about replacing it if you've got electronics in your room.
Just because you've got a phone doesn't necessarily mean that you is receiving external radio frequencies at the present time. I mean, this airplane mode sort of concept.
No, that doesn't work. That's another, you need to look into that, Mark. You can turn the phone off. The phone can be completely shut off and still be sending and receiving quite a bit.
Yeah, you'd have to put it in a Faraday cage.
You have to put it in a Faraday cage. Yep. That's the only way to stop it.
Yeah, but what sort of strength is it receiving? I think that's the more important issue. Yeah.
Quite strong. And again, Bluetooth is another thing. Oh, and Ralphie will verify this. I will not put like earbuds and stuff that are Bluetooth.
Yeah.
I won't put them in my ears.
I won't, because you're really frying your brain then.
And I'm super sensitive to EMF.
Yeah.
So I will, and when I talk, what Vicky will tell you, because I talk to Vic on the phone all the time, I am on speakerphone. I will not put any kind of wireless technology in my ears up near my brain.
Yeah.
Now, when I do the show, I'm on a hardwired headset that goes into my equipment. It does not. I will not do the wireless. I won't. And it's like, it gives me a headache. I always say that. It always made me feel weird. It gave me a headache. So I just didn't do it.
And
but
that's not something people tell you either.
Yep.
Or the people that sell it.
I wear a Bluetooth headset quite a lot, actually. So I have suffered from migraines in the past, I do occasionally, but that's more down. I put that down to more of my lifestyle, sitting in front of monitors all day.
I was just going to say, that's probably, you're into computers, so it's probably eye strain. Yeah. Do you know when I was in college, we actually had a course on how to prevent eye strain? We had to take an entire course on that to try to prevent people from burning out and causing eye strain, because it's a huge hindrance in our field. Well, so it's like, yeah.
When kids play video games, you know, when they first came out and they're playing them for hours and their eyes get all red.
Oh God.
I mean, yeah, you have to make them, okay, no, you can't play for 8 hours straight. Sorry.
And also, we were talking about different technologies. I mean, when we were playing video games back in the 80s and 90s, we were all using CRTs
Yep,
rather than the
correct.
flat panel. So,
Correct. And it was funny because I always remind people too, even with EMF, I always kind of go back to the fact that, well, listen, it may end up being worse, but currently it's not as bad as when they were doing microwave frequency for radio. Okay, because they had cancer clusters everywhere and they kept denying that that's what was causing it. And it was that. And somebody's feeding back. I can hear it.
Yeah.
I don't know who, but somebody's feeding back. Okay, there we go. It stopped.
Not me.
Well, I don't know. I don't think it was you, but somebody was. All right. So basically, my point I was making was that when I saw that blurb about the military, the United States military that is over in the Middle East, being talked to about, biblical events that might occur or that might be coming or that they say are coming, and then I put that together with the real outing of frequency technology, like Venezuela. People were shocked that there we had a weapon that used a frequency that actually disabled men, brought them to their knees, had them bleeding from their ear, nose, and mouth. And where did that come from? And I'm thinking, oh, that was nothing. That was a toy. That was just look, shock. Here you go. Because we actually have technology that can make people think certain things. I mean, it's a Manchurian candidate type of technology that can zero in, target on somebody's particular frequency in their brain and plant thoughts. And again, you can believe me or not believe me, but it's been proven true over and over. And now they're starting to make connections to certain serial killings where that technology may have been deployed.
Just one point. This may not be so clear in the US, but in the rest of the civilized world, there are regulations in relation to such things. And,
say that again.
There are, well, I believe that there are regulations for such things.
Gotcha. Well, I can tell you, here's the thing. One thing you learn over time is that anything that makes a profit, they're going to lie their asses off about anything that could possibly go wrong. And like I said, we were guaranteed over here, we've been guaranteed over and over again that 5G technology is not dangerous, 4G technology is not dangerous, 3G technology is not dangerous. 2G, even though it is, you can actually get it still here and there, but yeah, not dangerous. Okay. Told, how many times have we been told that? And yet here during the Trump
even though that as I stated, the studies are still ongoing.
But here's the thing, and this is the fun part. They're telling you all this, but if you remember during the first Trump administration, he stopped. There was a contract with China to put up a bunch of 5G towers here in the States. Trump stopped that contract because in his statement, he said there were dangerous technologies attached to those 5G towers. He stopped the contract.
Wasn't he referring to things like Huawei and
Huawei,
CCP?
Huawei. It was, which is
and
Korean,
CCP.
but it was not. I mean, it's kind of like I always go back to. I was like, nothing is really in technology and many things. It's not what you think. I was like, when we talk about like cars, American cars, and I always kind of, I don't know, I'm a prepper, but I'm not a prepper. Rafa's more of a prepper than I am, but I do kind of have a brain. And we always say, what if an EMP went off? You'd have no cars. You would have to literally, to get around, you'd have to roller skate, bike ride, or get a horse. You would not be able to, you're not going to be able to use cars because an EMP would shut down all these cars. And people say, well, only below these models, only the modern cars that carry the microchips. And I'm like, yeah, you're not really up on mechanics, are you? Because literally China has been installing microchips in our engines, whether it's American made or not, does not matter, since 1976. So they have an in. They could flip a switch and shut off like 3/4 of our technology if they wanted to, because that is how embedded they are. And yeah, they sell through the Koreas. They sell, I mean, yeah, South Korea too, guys. South Korea, they, you know, that friendly thing. Yeah, they're our friend. They're our friend. Yeah, they're our friend when they're making money off of us. It's kind of like everybody else. If they can profit off us, they're our best buddy. But in the interim, they're also doing deals with everybody else. And I think what got me into looking into that was actually my friend Matt that I talked about last week, Matt Moniz. And he was the one, because I was asking him, how the hell do we have stem cell technology? We have all these things, and we have CRISPR in vaccines since 2012. How could that happen when these things were banned? How could that happen? And I'm not talking the 2016 ban. I'm talking they have been banned. I mean, stem cells being like number one thing. And I think my exact question is, how are there stem cells in beauty products?
I can tell
How
you,
is that possible?
I can tell you main reason. Toothless regulatory bodies in the US.
No, he said we were white labeling for China. He literally said these companies are having China produce them because it's legal there, and then they're white labeling it over here. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Regulatory is meant to be independent, or meant to be independent. So,
Well, they don't have the regulation that we have. I mean,
but again, like I said, stem cells, huge no-no. Even though they've been proven to be effective, medically speaking, it was only recently. In fact, you cannot medically in the United States have your own stem cells used in a surgery. You have to go to like Mexico to get that done. Here, you have to use their produced stem cells in the States. So in other words, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a donor. It could be actually created in a lab. Those stem cells you're allowed to use, but you cannot use your own. Never made sense to me. And that's just recent, just being able to get the stem cell surgery. That, Rafi, when did they start that? 2019? Where they legalized that? 2018, 2019?
I had
It's
a friend who
recent.
just had it for her hip. You know, they put in her own stem cells to help with the pain, you know, inflammation.
Yep, and they say it is effective.
Yep, she is not having pain, and she had a hip replacement, so you know. But
my thing is though, the fact that there was a ban on using your own stem cells, that made no sense to me, because it is so much more dangerous to have a donor stem cells put in you, or God help us, manufactured stem cells put in you, than it is to use your own. Nothing is more native to your body than your own.
Yeah, you shouldn't have rejection problems.
Yeah.
You know.
If there's a ban, then there's a reason for that ban. Have you discovered what the reason was? Or what the stated reason was?
I'm going to say, because again, I am very much a pessimist when it comes to big business and medical, especially the medical industry. And my thought process is they did it because they needed redundancy. They wouldn't allow for your stem cells because that would probably work immediately and be effective and last a lot longer. If you're using foreign donor stem cells, or you're using stem cells that are manufactured, that's going to have a greater rate of failure. That causes redundancy.
And rejection problems.
Yep, which means the process will occur over, and they'll make money on the surgery every time. See, they cannot do anything that actually heals us or cures us. Even, you know, like with cancer, with chemotherapy. Yeah, okay, chemotherapy is going to kill the cells temporarily, but it's a flippin' poison, and it's going to cause a lot more problems down the line and eventually kill you anyway.
Isn't it Agent Orange or something?
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's special. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's nothing else. We can't do anything else. Really? Because now they're proving that ivermectin actually kills cancer cells.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's slightly a problem. And it's what? It was actually when they were trying to tell everybody it was a veterinary drug, but it was like, what, 10 cents a pill at that time? Now ivermectin's expensive again.
I pulled up why it's illegal in the U.S. if you guys want to hear it.
So I haven't gone through the regulatory steps.
Okay, so
it hasn't been been what the FDA, I presume, in this case. It hasn't been approved.
Using your own autologous stem cells is not entirely illegal in the U.S. Its legality depends on how the cells are processed and their intended use. The Food and Drug Administration, the FDA, strictly regulates these products to ensure safety and effectiveness, meaning most unapproved therapies are illegal to market for general use. Legal regulations use stem cell therapies are legal when they fall into one of two categories: FDA approved products and minimally homologous use, performing their own original function in a new location. And
that's so much bullshit.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well,
It's bullshit. I mean, think about it.
Well-
It's kind of like the FDA says that vaccines can only be approved if they're effective and this and that, and then we find out 30 years later that they never did the tests on them. I mean, it's like
Again,
that's pretty funny.
I've heard many times now. Especially when it comes to the FDA, some of the actions have been questionable, and let's say there are several allegations about corruption.
Yeah, because it's privately owned. It's privately owned. It is not. It says federally. It's federal. It's privately owned.
It's a joke at this point. Granted, I will say again, we're not the most educated country in the world sometimes, because while our population has the advantage of education, they refuse to look at the captain obvious things, which are like, the government. Half the things that claim to be government are not government. They're private entities.
Yeah, and that CDC, private
Oh,
entity.
God. The IRS!
What is their biggest job? Producing vaccines. Really?
Yeah,
Come on.
It's really crazy. It's like, it's all about profit. It's all about profit. And it's like, it's really scary that people are not more aware. But with that, I'm going to take us out to our first break.
Bait and switch.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it literally got coined because of the government. So, yeah, it is bait and switch. You're right. But I am going to take us out to our first break, guys. This site's like really rolling right now. We will be back in just a few moments with more of the Vixen's Fault. Hang in there.
All right, we're on radio break.
Somebody was starting to say something as I went to go into radio break. Who was that? No. What were you going to say?
I was just going to go back to your profits thing, and I was just going to make a quip about the American dream.
Oh God, dude.
Oh,
we
got Wobbly in the kick chat tonight. Look out.
Hey, Wobbly.
Be careful.
But yeah, it's to the point now, but I'm happy because I'm seeing some of this stuff, be circulated. And again, it's crazy because it's the left pushing the circulation. But it's like, who saw that coming? Nobody.
Wobbly says, hi all. Or hey all.
Hello.
But
what about Kofifi?
Oh, Kofi.
No, seriously, everybody thought that. But that is what, with also the Hawaii, whatever that regulation, where they weren't going to buy anything that transmitted from China, because then they could do whatever. And even if you look on the 5G or on your phone, 5G, there's nothing there. There's nothing. So, but that it's cobalt, V, and then iron, and those things.
Fe is iron. Yep.
Yeah, those two Fe plus.
Yep.
And then the V is what? I can't remember what the V was.
I think. Okay, so I think what they were. Yes.
I was just going to say, it's worth remembering that your phone may be able to receive fifth generation GSM signals. Doesn't mean your area has got fifth generation. I thought
Internet
the
provider.
US is much like the
Mhm.
UK in this scenario. There isn't a fully 5G hasn't been fully rolled out yet.
Yeah.
It took 2.5 years to convince him of that because he wouldn't listen to me when I said it
Well,
originally.
no, I've been making the argument for some time.
Well, the
In
internet
fact,
The
provider,
problem is,
we had that
yeah,
conversation on IP about IPNs with the tech talk. Like you can build the greatest computer that you ever imagined, man. But if that internet provider sucks, it doesn't matter. None of it.
yeah, in fact, didn't I make that that argument in the episode that we did that
Yeah.
I did on 5G in
Yeah.
here's
fixing it.
I think
Yeah.
here's my thought on it. Again, I trust nothing with them when it comes to the dangers they're willing to put the public in at all. I trust nothing, 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 nothing. Because when phones first came out, when cell phones first came out, it was supposed to be this completely safe, not even thought. I mean, you didn't have a second thought as to the safety of holding this thing up to your head because you use a house phone all the time. You know, you never would have thought of the harm that could be done. And again, if they're doing, go ahead.
I always loved it when the CB signals would come over the telephone on the
Oh,
wireless.
God, yeah. Yep.
Breaker.
Okay, you know what's weird? The last like 2 weeks, I'll be on a phone call, and I
30
swear to
seconds.
God, I'm hearing the echo of somebody else's phone call while I'm talking.
Yep.
It's a ghost.
Yep. No,
Yeah.
no.
No,
That's
no,
Gary.
no.
It's
That's
Gary. It's
Gary.
Gary. Yeah.
Gary's
Gary's
listening
watching
in.
you.
Yeah, and so is Jesus.
Jesus is
Oh
watching.
no! Oh no!
Anyway,
Oh,
here's
boy.
your countdown. 5,
Oh no.
Lucy, after
3,
explaining
Do
to
I
her,
do now?
1.
Hang
And Nancy, you are back live and on the radio side right now.
Okay, and we're back, March 4th, 2026. It is 9:28 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'd like to welcome everybody back to the show and just remind everybody we are in Lent. And I'm saying that because my end of my break was all about Jesus somehow. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, and everybody, of course, started giggling and talking at the same time as we're going back on air. Welcome back to the show, everybody. And like I said, there's a lot of really cool things going on this week, and it has nothing really, I'm not even really kind of bringing up the war going on overseas, or it's actually not a war. If you want to believe Mike Johnson, you know, the Speaker of our House, you know,
right.
he goes public today and says, we're not at war. And I'm thinking, what?
No, it says he's stopping it. He's stopping the war.
Well, I think it's kind of funny because I thought actually, if technically he's right, because we are not. It's Israel that's actually doing the bombing in Iran. It's not us, and we are just kind of flying sorties and making sure everything stays safe. And you know, if things are going on, it's actually more naval what we're doing. But
Yeah,
you know,
you sank their ships.
Yeah, air
Yeah,
defense.
yep.
Mainly.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, technically speaking, he is correct. This is not even a conflict because we're kind of a proxy presence over there. But on the
it's
other side of
Germany,
that,
so it's fine. Yeah.
yes, it's a proxy presence. But it is interesting all the different things that are again coming forward. Like I've been really Tucker Carlson's been putting out some incredible stuff lately. Really well thought, really well written, and when you watch his videos, really well stated. And he was making points today about, you know, Israel being really kind of stupid. That this was not something that was thought through. This was really stupid. This was a bad move on their part, and it was stupid. Because it was showing how basically this was a no-win for them, and that Bibi was going to lose more than he gained from it.
Yeah. And it worked great.
I thought it was so funny because it's been something I've been saying all along, and also kind of saying I think this was allowed to happen because it is the only way to do things.
Yeah.
If you're going to put somebody, if somebody needs to be put in check or somebody needs to be taken out as leader, yep, you let them do it themselves, and you just kind of stand back and say, "Oh, I'm proxy." we're just
I
gonna.
have been in two minds about this conflict. I can see, I would like to see finished by internally, probably by a queue internally, but I can also see the sense, sort of the US, Germany, and France entering the conflict.
Okay, but let me point something out with the internally. I'm assuming you're talking about the Iranian public overthrowing them from the okay. You have to understand what I said this on the show multiple times over time, where I said the problem with that is that the Mossad is in league with Iran.
Right.
And you can believe me or not believe me, but it is now proving true. Because
It's
guess
true.
what happened in the last couple of days? Saudi Arabia and Qatar captured several Mossad agents planting bombs.
Yep.
So, again, I've been trying to tell people you are trusting everything Israel says about everything when they are playing the Hegelian dialectic so hard it's not funny. And they've been doing it for a while.
Yep.
It's there's been attacks on Kuwait, Qatar, UAE, and Saudi Arabia and Egypt, as far as I'm aware of the last couple of days.
Yeah,
But what again?
see, they're not returning fire. They're not.
No, they're not.
No,
Yeah.
no.
at the
So
moment,
that's huge.
that should tell you something, Mark. There's more going on here than you understand. It's a show. This is a plan. You're seeing a trap, and it's just I don't understand how nobody else sees it. Because again, when I told you guys when the Abrahamic Accords, when the Arab countries recently jumped on because Trump got them to jump into the Abrahamic Accords, everybody said, "Oh, what a betrayal! Trump betrayed, the Middle East. He sucks Jewish butt." I mean, all these things were said that were horrible, and I was like, no, because here's the thing: with them in the Abrahamic Accord, that gives them the power to regulate the ceasefires. That gives them the power to regulate the terrorist actions that are going there with Israel. So if it's not like with Gaza, a lot of times every time the ceasefire was violated, Israel was saying it's them. And
it was Israel.
it wasn't them. And it's like, but because
on a slight tangent, what about the ionisation material to create 5 nuclear warheads?
Well, that's another fun fact because Ted Cruz over the weekend went public, and you got to understand he sits on our Security Council. He goes public and makes a statement that, there's no real definitive proof that they're even close.
It's a claim, yeah. As far as I am aware, it's a claim.
It's kind of like the weapons of mass destruction that Bush said we had.
So
kind of like if they're saying it's not true.
Bibi Netanyahu's been claiming they're months away from a nuke for 30 years. You got to take all that with a grain of salt.
Claimed this multiple times before. I seem to remember back in maybe 98. 88, 89.
Yep.
Maybe.
It was kind of like
That's all BS.
Here's the thing, Mark. It's been played so many times. If you can't see that pattern, I don't even know what to tell you because it has been played over and over, and because it's Israel, and nobody can say a word. In fact, countries are making laws that you cannot disagree with Israel. That is considered as anti-Semitic to disagree with them.
You know why I haven't said
You
nothing?
can't say anything.
Why?
Because I won this argument months ago. I don't have to say nothing.
But you know what it is, Roger? I'm happy to see it manifesting where people, again, they captured Mossad agents planting bombs. Why did that happen? Well, because Saudi and Qatar signed on to the frickin' Abrahamic Accords, and they're able to police their own thing. So now it's not going to be what Israel tells them it's going to be. It's going to be the truth.
Well, it comes
It's not
down to
just that.
this.
I mean, all the Iranian airstrike, all their
Go ahead. Go ahead.
But all
Go
the
ahead,
Iranian
Rafi.
airstrikes were directed at U.S. bases, and that's
Yep.
what Iran has specifically tried to um, definitively state to every one of their neighbors. We're not after you. We're after the Americans that are supporting the Israelis. And as long as you stay out of it, we have no problems with you. That's the reason why Mossad tried to create false flag attacks on the petroleum production for Saudi Arabia and Qatar.
It's
They're trying to
also worth
suck in the Abraham Accord signees.
It's also worth remembering that ever since 1979, the supporters of the IRGC have been claiming things like "Death to America," "Death to Israel."
That's an old
to
slogan. I
us.
mean, it's like I can't even remember hearing the last time they've actually said that on television, Mark. It's like
I know.
you guys said
I'm-
you said that in chat, and I'm like, dude, come on, like this is
I agree.
2025. You know, I mean,
It's not just that. It's not just
people are
that. Again,
freely traveling in and out of Iran, and most
Yep.
people who say that don't even realize like Iran has never turned United States citizens away from going into their country.
Yeah.
Nope.
You
My
can find
dad
plenty
actually-
of YouTube channels that
Yep.
that have their YouTubers that are traveling through Iran to show that nothing has been reported by our mainstream media.
Yep. And it's funny because my dad back in the 80s and 90s trained both Iranian and Egyptian pilots. So, I mean, this is long term. And it's, like I said, nothing is what you think it is because there's propaganda and then there's the truth. And it's been propaganda for so long now because they need. All right, I'm getting feedback.
Yeah, I'm hearing it.
It's been so long with the propaganda that the people, unless you really start paying attention, you are not understanding that if they don't have perpetual war, they're not making money. They're not making money unless there's perpetual war. And it's like the banks make money, the DOD makes money, the contractors make money, the the underworld makes money, trafficking makes money. I mean, the war creates more fountains of money than you could possibly understand. And human traffic is one of the biggest ones.
Yep.
And people don't understand. Pharmaceutical, another huge profit margin with war for big pharma. Huge. So again, it's perpetual money in their pockets and they don't care about the losses. They don't care. But now there's too many of us because now, and we have technology that allows us to look up different things and double check it. We have real-time video that we can view. It says, wait, that's not what they're telling us on the news. Hold on. And Rafi and I experienced that with January 6th. 100% what you guys were seeing on the news of January 6th is not what happened. Why? How do we know that? We were there.
Yeah.
We saw the way that played out. I mean, the even to the point where I told you I got completely deplatformed from Twitter for recording them boarding up the windows near the White House because our hotel was right near the White House. Like I walked out of the hotel that morning, 7 a.m. They're boarding the windows up the day after the protests to play the line that this was how they busted everything up. Do you know Washington D.C. was so clean when the January 6th people, when J6ers left, because conservatives tend to clean behind themselves. Rafi, like it was cleaner than when we got there. Rafi will tell you that too, because it was embarrassing. I was humiliated by our national capital. It stank of urine. It was filthy, and I thought, oh my God, this is our nation's capital. This is horrific.
And
That
then they
wouldn't be allowed in
filmed
Japan.
the wrong things. They, they totally falsified, or they say, whatever it was, and it, you could say that, okay, yeah, those are FBI agents or some agents, obviously, or people faking being MAGA or whatever, and it's just like they have done it in wars. I mean,
Yeah, but I mean,
go ahead,
go
Rafi.
ahead.
I was just going to say, no, I was going to say, Rafi, I'm going to let him talk because as somebody who served our government in multiple capacities, his observations that day, yeah, you need to listen to him.
Well,
Go ahead.
From my viewpoint, it's been not just upsetting, but um, I don't know. It's turned my world upside down to know that the government, our government, is the most dishonest. Uh, I think it's one of the most corrupt and dishonest governments on the planet. I mean, the things that they tell us are so far divergent from the truth that they basically can say pretty much anything, and we're so unfortunately under their spell that we don't even question. We barely even question. I don't know how many people I've gotten arguments online about, because they want to say that Iran is evil and this, that, whatever, but they're cherry picking events to justify their positions, like the Beirut bombing or the Marine barracks bombing. I'm sorry. And even that, we're finding, where there's plenty of evidence to show that it was for the same juicies that did the King David Hotel bombing. It was a false flag. They've constantly done things over and over. It was the USS Liberty, 9/11, Kennedy assassination. They've constantly done stuff that to try to draw us into their conquest of the Middle East for the Greater Israel Project. And even us, I mean, we've done many horrific things, and part of it is to maintain the petrodollar status, but that's just another symptom of an illness from the juicies. Who controls the banking system?
Yep.
Who controls the banking system? The Rothschilds and the rest of the banking families, but they're the originators. All banks eventually lead to Israel, to the juices. And there's
Zionists.
Just
yeah,
one
the
point on this.
Zionists.
Remember that OPEC is there's a large control from Saudi Arabia.
Well,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you have to
Absolutely.
remember that the Saudis actually he gutted his own royal family in 2016 after meeting with Donald Trump. So again, we saw a switch in power in Saudi, and people do not. And guess what? The current prince of Saudi Arabia, not a fan of the Zionists at
And
all.
not a fan of
Yeah.
sex trafficking either, which is what the
Yep.
other Saudi group
But-
was doing, and that's why they got bumped off.
But I wanted to make a point about Iran, and because I think this is lost on a lot of people when I say about the cherry picking the timeline. As we drew first blood when we overthrew Mossadegh with the CIA on behalf of MI6 and BP Oil, we overthrew Mossadegh, and he was a democratically elected president for Iran. But the thing is, though, we have this tendency, this desire to install dictators that follow our commands, that follow, basically implement whatever we rules and policies that we want. So they install the Shah. The Shah has his secret police, the Sabak, terrorizing people left and right. So for a decade or so, the people are dealing with that. Eventually, the Iranian Revolution comes around and they overthrow the Shah. Now, that's where everybody, their memory hole starts. They overthrew the Shah, and all of a sudden Khomeini's involved. Khomeini's in charge, or he's the supreme leader. But what they're not saying is that on the way out, the Shah of Iran cleaned out the national treasury of Iran and effectively left the nation of Iran broke. Penniless. And that's the reason why it wasn't Khomeini that took the embassy. It was a bunch of pissed off university students. All right. And I found the interview. I can't remember the name of the reporter. He's one of these 60-minute reporters interviewing Khomeini. And he just kept circling around trying to ignore the fact that that the university students were pissed off about the Shah taking the money. And they basically, their demand was that they wanted the United States to return the Shah and the money so that he could face justice. Okay, it didn't happen, obviously. So what happens? We fund and armed Iraq to wage war on Iran.
Yep.
All right. And in the process, we actually provided ISR support for chemical ballistic missiles to fire chemical weapons into Iran and kill people by the thousands. which is a war crime in and of itself. It's a WMD, and we were complicit in that. We got caught helping them out doing that. All right. So Iran has plenty of reasons not to trust us, to be on the defensive and everything else. And then post 9/11, Wesley Clark reveals on NPR, I think in 2007 the interview was, but he revealed that after 9/11, the Pentagon had rolled out a plan to invade 7 countries in 5 years, and Iran was at the end of that list. So what do we do right after 9/11? We invade Iraq, which had nothing to do with 9/11. So
Yep.
we're invading Iraq on their western front. We invading Afghanistan on their eastern front. They're not stupid. They know what was happening. They're basically being enveloped so they can be hit on both sides by the United States and their allies. They were going to invade. They were going to invade Iran from both sides.
Was it for the
And while
petrodollar?
Iran, huh?
Well,
Was it monetary for to establish the petrodollar? You know,
No, it had
no?
nothing to do with it. They want control of Iran. They want to destabilize Iran so that they can prop up Israel to be the regional superpower.
Yep.
That's what this is all about. Now that we've basically had them under sanctions, they had no choice but to sell oil to China, to strike a deal with China to sell oil and your gold back yuan. So yeah, that's hurting the petrodollar status. Absolutely. But we made this bed. We are lying in it.
Yeah.
And the
Well, and the
thing
fun
is,
part
you know,
is-
they're the people want to point out that they sent commandos into Iraq and Afghanistan to train them how to create IEDs. Of course they did. They used them as proxies to keep us from succeeding and enveloping them and then hitting them next.
Well,
So,
and again,
I mean, it's just
fun fact: if you don't understand what Rafi's saying or believe what Rafi's saying, ask yourself this, because I do this to people all the time. I say, who was responsible for 9/11? You know, if you were going to put blame, where were those people from? Do you know 95% of the people I ask that question of tell me Iran? And I'm like,
Really?
no, they were
They
the
don't say
bomb, the
Saudi
people.
Arabia, which is also
No, nope, they
the-
do not. And it's like, no, they were not from Iran. No, yet they were. We think they were Muslim, but no, they were not from Iran. I mean, and the fact
and it
is
wasn't
that they
them at
weren't.
all. It was us.
Yeah, they weren't from Iraq, and they weren't from Afghanistan.
Just playing devil's advocate here, I would argue I could make an argument there was the neocons and the Great Blair project, but that's me playing devil's advocate.
absolutely. The United States helped. The United States and Mossad pulled off 9/11. Mossad wired up towers 1 and 2, and CIA wired up building 7. Those were controlled demolitions disguised as collateral of 2 airplane strikes, which is pure BS.
Yeah.
And Dick Cheney was quarterbacking the whole thing. All right, this is the defining moment of my life. This is when I was in government. This was the defining moment of my life, and it changed everything. So yeah, I am pissed off because the nature of the government, our government, has changed dramatically. There's nothing constitutional about it. They don't care about the Constitution. They are going to do whatever they want. I'm trying to
Yay.
watch my tongue work. They're doing whatever the hell they want, and they're basically taunting us, saying, "What the are you going to do about it?" Not a damn thing.
Well, and
We haven't seen
Well, in fairness,
anybody do shit about it.
in fairness, though, they're lying to the public. It's not like they
Absolutely.
are taunting. They're lying. Put it this way: they're taunting intelligent people who pay attention to politics, but most Americans don't. You know that, Rafi. Most Americans
Yeah,
are worried
absolutely.
about how they're going to put food on the table. You know, are their kids getting bullied in school? Are their kids going to get a transgender change? I mean, these are things that they're worried about. They're not looking at world politics. Like I said, most people had no clue we had acoustic weapons. Well, we've had them for a while.
It's
They
that's
were
just not an
floored.
American phenomenon. That's not just an American phenomenon. That you find that throughout all westernized countries.
But don't you think that there's a reason behind that, Mark? Don't you think if the Western populations were truly aware of the monsters that they have in their governments, do you really look at what happens historically when people get to that point where they are not going to take it anymore?
Revolution.
I mean, it's happened. Yeah, Caesar. It's happened to kings. It's happened to pretty much everybody. And if they don't get taken out by the population, they get taken out by one of their own.
Yeah.
Because when they're
The
open about it,
criteria
it's not tolerated.
Right.
So again, now we have a population that's suddenly waking up to the fact that, gee, there's a lot of missing kids. Holy crap. Wow, didn't know that. Gee, there's still a lot of slavery in this world. Well, who knew that? I mean, gee, wow, there's a lot of people dying for reasons that we can't really understand. Wow. But poor Israel, their poor people are dying left and right. Israel lost several thousand people on October 7th. Okay? They have wiped out over 70% of the Gazan population as a result.
Yeah,
Think
but
about that.
Yeah, but they were behind the attacks on October 7th.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And
The
that's, I
argument
mean,
there-
it's insane.
But the
Uh-huh.
argument there would be is that the Hamas has used human shields. They've put ammunition and arms down within.
Yeah, but Hamas and Hezbollah was made by the Israelis.
I was going to say, number one, Hamas was put in power by Bibi Netanyahu.
Yeah.
Number two,
I'm talking
You
about
mean-
now.
Sure,
We're talking about
But when you-
30 odd years ago. We were talking about this.
when you
what's
bomb
been
a
happening
church,
recently.
Mark, when you bomb a hospital or you bomb a church because there's a Hezbollah or a Hamas person in that church, okay, that is not using people as human shields. That is really, really, really negligent strategy.
If you
Okay.
bomb in a church, that could potentially. It's believed to have arms in it, and it's believed to have to be a storage depot.
Well,
Isn't
here's the
that
thing.
legitimate?
We
Do
do know
you
that we're
really
also.
believe any of that, Mark? Are you really
You
that
really
much of a
can't.
Terry?
No, I'm just making the argument there.
I mean,
based upon what's the main.
Well,
and
it's
you have
just
to look
it's
at the
something that
statistics.
they've repeatedly done, though. You see, that's the
Uh-huh.
thing he's saying, Mark. Like it's
Come on.
since 1940s, 1950s, it's always been a hospital full of children that these people have bombed, and they said that it was because they were hiding weapons. They say it over and over again. They've been saying
Yep.
it for the last
I
80
mean, those
years.
tunnels behind,
Okay.
underneath that hospital.
That's
Come
just
under
for trafficking.
but,
Yeah.
Well, of course
I mean-
they gotta have underground trafficking because they have to smuggle concrete in, they have to smuggle building materials in because Israel freaking restricts them from getting materials into the freaking West Bank and Gaza.
No,
The
they're
All right,
Jews
using
are the
guys, hit the break. I got to take us out to break. We're at 9:54. Hey, in there, folks. Sorry about that. I hate interrupting them when they're on a good roll, but I have got to take us out to break. We will be back. This is a long break, so it'll be about 5-10 minutes, but we will return with the Vixen's Vault in just a few.
All right, we're on radio break. Oh boy.
You need one of those fights.
Hey, did you hear that the Bears are leaving Chicago?
Yes, I knew about that a month ago. They got sold.
Yeah.
We were talking about this.
Brent Hamachek was on with John earlier, and he's like, "Yeah, good
Well, I heard
idea.
that they're going
Let
to
the Cubs go too." What?
I heard they're going to Indiana.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's their jump.
it's just like right next door.
Yeah,
Crying out
but
loud.
still.
Come on.
I mean, here's the thing. It's like, Chicago, you got too much crime anyway. So get your crap under control, and maybe we'll think about giving you
Gary-
another football
Well,
team.
Gary's
Brent was
worse than
explaining all about how bad it is around Wrigley Stadium and Soldier
Yeah.
Stadium, and that it's like he goes, they just need to tear it down. He goes, Wrigley Stadium. He said, I would just love to see that turned into a dog park.
Yeah, let him
Oh,
know next
wow.
time you
Oh
talk to
yeah,
him.
yeah. And he's from up around there. All right, so yeah. Oh, and my book's on the way.
It's Hammond,
I-
Indiana, too. Just so you know.
I I have good news, by the way, Nancy. I did receive a package from my sister yesterday.
You did.
Not everything that I needed, but most of the things that I asked for.
It's something.
Yep.
You know,
I hope the rest will be on the way later. That's all I got to say.
Well, just if honey is working or sugar is working, continue using it.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever works.
Yeah.
Did you hear me, Mark?
What was that?
Tell what's his name that they're going to Hammond, Indiana.
Hammond? Why not Gary?
Well, because Arlington Heights has a Wolf Lake Arena is what
Gary
it is.
needs a stadium. I'm telling you, Gary. If Gary gets a stadium, he'll be too busy taking care of. We'll have to get like Bob or Joe to fill in for him. To monitor our shows and things like that. Come on, we don't. We want him. We want them to go to Gary.
I suppose putting them in like Zionsville, Indiana, would be just too obvious, don't you think? I think that might be a bad call.
On Sundays, on the stream that me and Roger did with Nioki on Sunday, I was highlighting the private sector interests in relation to the Bears, and how it was controlled by mainly just two families. And I was just making the argument that, well, it's a private sector venture, so they can move it wherever they want to. They could move it to Mars for all they care.
Well, it's just because of Pritzker, really. Well, and not just that, but like the family wants to have an arena built up in Chicago that is tax-free for the next 20 years. And
what was it? It was McKenzie's being the majority shareholder, and Ryan's.
Well, we know that the owner, I mean, he died, 2 years ago? I think it's 2 years ago, somewhere around there. And it's been kind of a,
Okay, so everything went off the air. I believe I still have it playing, so.
Vixen's Vault. I will bring up the second hour here in just a minute. I lost track of time. Watching chats and getting distracted. Yes, getting distracted. So let me bring them back up on the Teams call. Let's see here. Let's see if I can get everybody back up. 1, 2, 3. No, David's coming back in.
Because I was continually talking through that.
Yeah.
Okay, that was sad because I was continually talking through that. I didn't even realize we had disconnected.
Yeah, I lost track of time.
Okay.
Let me flip us back over on OBS so that folks can see your smiling faces. There we go.
Did Mark like your song?
Oh, I like the song, by the way.
I've been kicking out some cool stuff here lately. Some I probably shouldn't mention on even now, but they'll play eventually. Oh, Roger, me, and David Hogg, and let's see here, Pixie have been making lots of music and that, and that's what's been playing on the platforms that have me playing the music stream. So come in and enjoy that along with some of my AI art.
Nice.
In the
Did
interim.
you guys see the picture of the SpaceX launch I dropped this morning?
Yeah, I'm probably going to take that too and add that into the slides.
I tell you, that was
because that looks really cool.
Dude, every time it happens, they call it the jellyfish when that happens, and it is not uncommon with a it can be either a full moon or at sunrise. Those are usually the two occasions you see that. And it's always a specific, like, you have to have pretty high humidity at ground level. But basically, it's just a combination of the refraction of light from the sunrise or from a really bright moon against the vapor trail of the shuttle as it's dispersing. But it makes this like almost like a sun devil type deal. It is so cool looking. It really is.
Yeah, I just wonder why that never happens when I take off. Only roses only roses in greenhouses 5 counties away die. Remember that?
Oh God. Mark. Did you ever recover from your fire?
Yes.
Oh God.
I had to pay for it, unfortunately.
I kind of thought that was going to happen.
Yeah, but oh well. You know. Anyways, we're coming up around 30 seconds now. Don't get quiet on us.
Are we already, dude? Have we been on break for 10 minutes already?
Yeah.
Wow.
We're going to be.
Wow.
You have to reset the.
Oh,
session?
actually, no. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You forget. Yeah.
Actually, we got a couple more minutes.
Yep, I thought so. I think you kind of had us more on a 5 minute. Yeah.
It wouldn't be. I could bring us back early, but
It's up to you. You want to bring us back early? Bring us back early. I don't care.
Nah, that's just gonna take in. Oh yeah.
I'm actually looking for some of the photos of that thing because some people got angles on it where it looked like it was on fire. It was so cool this morning. I gotta remember where I saw it.
This file's a little bit bigger than what I thought it would be. Sometimes the AI file stuff that I make doesn't give correct times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I put it in my broadcaster.
Is it maybe from the settings in the AI itself? Have you checked the settings
don't know.
prompts?
It may be picking up other songs and things like that in it that cut it down.
Interesting.
I don't know. It's probably a coding thing, but anyways.
And you guys have got to forgive me tonight. I was saying to Raphael before we came on air, I am exhausted. You can probably hear it in my voice. And I'm having like hard time putting words together.
No.
Yeah, I really I messed up my ankle something horrible this weekend, and
Did you hear
it's
the birthday
caused lots of
song?
swelling.
Did you hear my?
No, I went to look for it. I looked and looked and looked. I'm like, where is this birthday song they keep talking about? I don't see it.
It's amazing too because
Okay. I'm going to give us 30 seconds, and then I'm going to be like, okay, 3, 2, 1, you're live, but not yet. But we're getting there.
I was wondering if it was like the
Wobbly
midget,
says it's a little late for meds now.
The forces of the
Anyways,
universe have apologized
3,
to
2,
you for
1, and you're
all the
live.
bad things it's done to you.
And we're back, and Roger's still talking. Welcome back, everybody, to the Vixen's Vault. It is 10:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, March the 4th, 2026. And yes, on the break, Roger was asking me if I listened to my birthday song because tomorrow is my birthday. And apparently he produced a song, and I spent a very long time looking for that song, Roger. I still haven't found it. So I was wondering if it was like, the midget Viking
No,
type
this is
deal.
cool.
And,
This is
yeah.
cool. The forces of the universe have sent out a message to you and apologized to you for all the horrible things it's done to you.
Really? Oh,
Yes.
that's interesting.
It's
I'm wondering what horrible things have been
I
done
think
to
you
me.
confused Roger with me because I'm the one that made the Viking song about me and the Viking dwarf conquering everything.
well, like
Time stand still.
I did one where it apologized for all of the things that happened with toasters and
Oh, yeah,
cell
yeah.
phones. And,
Oh, wow. So kind of like Ode to a Toaster, something
No.
along those lines.
And all of the horrible things that electricity has done to you all throughout your life.
God.
You mean the EMF?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I was gonna say frequency because actually electricity kind of keeps you alive because that's what powers your bloodstream and your heart. Just saying.
Well, anyhow,
I think I
it
will make a
sent
song
you.
for her too.
In your brain.
Life
Oh,
of
no.
a flea stack.
Life of how did I know? How did I know? Just
There you-
oh my God! I'm just not even gonna say a word.
Ode to a sleep.
Unbelievable. Happy birthday to me. Anyway, welcome back to the show, everybody. And Roger, I expect that song in my inbox.
I'll send it.
Yeah. Mhm. Everybody else has heard it but me. What?
He's laughing. Mark is just
It was
tickled.
good too. It was really good. I even made one
Hey.
for Vicky. It was
Yeah.
called Vicky.
Roger. I just before we came on stream, I saw those that new communities MS Teams room you created, and
Yeah, this is
I
for
don't
the
know,
parody.
comments, your
Yeah, it's for the parody. All the stuff that me and Mark's put together. I'm starting a parody show up called Stir the Fallout, and I'm starting it tomorrow. So we got 3 headlines that are going up, and it's all true.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, every
Really?
single bit of it.
It's all true in Roger's mind.
Yeah. Is that
Yeah,
so
kind of
real?
like the midget Vikings were real.
No, that was Mark. That
It's
was,
true in my mind.
Is that an apology tour?
Okay, but you didn't spend all night trying to look it up historically to validate it. I did.
I didn't
That was
have to.
me.
I knew all about it from the beginning.
Mhm.
This is good though because like I've got only 3 headlines that I'm gonna do, and it's the first one is about destiny volatility is rising, and then fairy tales are requesting union representation, and
Oh boy.
then there's this unscheduled summer event that sparked narrative debate. So where this little Japanese girl freaking it was on a hot or a warm summer night, took her clothes off to go swim, and along came an octopus and stole her clothes. And then a shark ate the octopus, and she said, "Oh no, what am I gonna do now?"
Yeah, and he's got all that from songs that I've created,
Exactly.
and also spoofs from Paranormal Parodies, my original show that I started out with.
It's
Remember that,
Oh,
Nancy?
boy.
It's all
Yeah,
there.
Oh,
so
boy.
that'll take you
All
back.
right. So David Campione, are you there with us, David? Is he here?
No, I think he had to
Hello?
just he said he
I think he had to go to bed. He had to
Because he
go.
was tired.
Gone.
Yeah.
All right. So guys, look in the chat
No.
real quick because I put up 3 photos that were posted by locals of the Falcon 9 launch this morning.
Wow.
that second one reminds me of I
That's
don't know,
beautiful.
seagulls.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
these are like people that live around Raphael and I. And it just depended on where facing the horizon you were as to what view of it you got.
That's gorgeous.
In that, no, when I said it was,
Yeah.
I said to Raphael, I said, I looked up and I was like, what in the holy hell? It took me a minute. And I was like, oh, Lord, it's Falcon X, but wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of crazy. And it did freak people out because,
blue beamy. Kind of.
yeah, especially the last one I posted. It almost looks like a ring of fire, and then like a jellyfish blob hanging off of it.
Yeah.
That is
That's
amazing.
true.
Isn't that
That is-
cool?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got that on the stream for you guys. So
That's beautiful.
And like I said, we live quite a distance from the Cape, but we see it very clearly when it launches. If it's a clear night or clear morning, it's like you can't miss it.
Hmm.
But
when you say a fair distance, roughly how many miles?
Ralphie, how far are we from the Cape? We're what? We're 200 and some odd miles from Orlando, and the Cape is about another half distance. Probably, I'd say 400 miles.
Wow.
Right,
And that was from where you are. The people who were
Yep.
taking those Wow.
That's from a local chat where I'm at. So literally, we were all posting photos, and some of us got like it was at I think at different points in time because as time moves on, the trail of course expands.
Uh-huh.
And so like mine was towards this. It had launched. I think it had been up at like 10 minutes already when I took my picture, and so that trail had expanded quite a bit. I think the one with the like the fire line, that was probably when it first launched and started making its way towards the horizon. That was that fire. So they were taken at different times, but it goes to show you that it is really kind of amazing. And people who are not familiar with the launches in Florida and have never seen that phenomenon before were freaking out. Oh, it's
Yeah.
angels. It's God giving it. I mean, I can't tell you how many posts I saw. Look, it's angels talking to us from heaven, and it's like, yeah, no, that's the SpaceX contrail, man. That's like, that's not even a chemtrail. That is a straight up contrail. So it's kind of
I looked it
like I
up.
said.
It's
How
100.
the colors.
It's 152 miles.
Okay, so it's 60 some odd miles into Orlando. Oh, that's right, because it only takes us an hour if we go the back road.
152.
That's right.
Yeah, miles.
Okay, that makes more sense. I think it's 400 to Key West. That's right. Okay, so it's like I said, that's a heck of a distance, and we see it. Like I said, you look up and you cannot miss when those those rockets are going up because it's like this beautiful bright red in the sky, just like gorgeous, streaking across the sky. And when it was the shuttle, because I've been down here through all the space programs, my dad worked on the space program. I mean, the shuttle, it was much brighter because the shuttle was it had the dual rockets that were larger than the Falcon 9s. But they've been talking about SpaceX actually maybe relocating the spaceship over to the Cape, which I would actually drive over there to see that if they did that. I would drive over there for the launch. I thought about going for Artemis because Artemis is the NASA ship that is supposed to launch. It was supposed to launch March 6th. They had to scrub it again. They have not announced another launch date. I am telling you right now, it doesn't take a prophet to see this. It's probably going to be right around Easter. And I'm saying that for a reason. It fits a pattern. But and then, that's all I'm going to say. People hate it when I say that now because I get tired of explaining it over and over and over again. And I'm like, it fits a pattern. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
But the Artemis 2 is supposedly supposed to, I think it was orbit the moon. I think that's their mission. But it's in a segue to us supposedly returning to the moon. And if you go by, I guess you could say, UFO mythology, I guess that's the best way to put it, we will probably never step foot on the moon again. And I know a lot of people don't believe we ever did in the first place. I actually think we did. Only because, again, my dad worked in these areas. And he's a really statistically logical person. And he will say it without even the slightest inflection. We absolutely did land on the moon. And even some of the older UFOologists that I talk to, and I know quite a few of them, they will tell you, yeah, we did land on the moon. But the problem is what we saw on the moon. And it's one of the reasons we never returned to the moon. We were told to never return. And that is, again, this is not something I'm making up. This is something that is talked about in the UFO circles. But now it seems to only be talked about amongst the older people in the UFO. Like the younger people have their own different way of looking at things, handling things. They're more into the conspiracy. It's all a hoax. That is more their way of doing things. But the older guys are like, no, we have photos from it. We know what they were trying to hide up there. There were structures on the moon. We know, in fact, what's his face? Oh my God, what was his name? I was supposed to interview him. He died right before I interviewed
John
him.
Glenn,
No, not John Glenn. It begins with an E.
Neil Armstrong,
No, that doesn't begin with an E.
Buzz Aldrin.
No, not none of the guys that were on that. He was an astronaut that went up after that, but he was very well known in, again, the UFO communities. And he always spoke about the fact that there was a lot of classified information. He did talk about the fact that he 100% endorsed the fact that there was life besides ours, and would never get into the real Edgar Mitchell, there we go.
Okay.
Would never get into the real reasons why he said that, but he worked with UFO investigators very closely for till his death. And he always did. Yeah.
If
Say that again?
if the US or Europe doesn't return to the moon, what's stopping China? I was going to say what's stopping India, but that's just a bit of a joke.
You bring up a good point, Mark. And what's to say China hasn't been back to the moon? We don't. Again, they lie to us about everything. Like, they do not tell you that with China, we're not in the space race thing. Okay, when it comes to satellites, China actually has the upper hand over us, big time. Why?
Yep.
Because about 5 years ago, China put a satellite up on the other side of the moon, which puts that satellite behind our satellites, which means that satellite can actually disrupt our satellites big time. It was a strategic positioning. I think it was Tucker Carlson when he was still on Fox who actually did a report on it, and because he was horrified. And he was like, I don't know why nobody's talking about this, because this is bad. If you're looking at it as a strategical thing, this is bad. Because they now have the satellite that is the furthest out, and it's the furthest out that can disrupt the ones in front of it.
Am I correct in saying that the moon, the territories on the moon, are owned by multiple countries? It's recognized that the US owns a segment of the moon, and China owns another segment. And
that is something they would never confirm. Again, that is something they've always said the moon is kind of like the ocean. It's international water. That was always their claim, but yet the US put their flag strink right in the middle of the moon when they landed on it. China, as so far as we know publicly, never landed on the moon. So to claim a territory would be kind of complicated. Yet we get these rumors that there's a very specific, not a chemical, but I think is it a gas or a mineral? I forget what, I think it begins with an R, but it's a very specific compound that is unique to the moon, and it's loaded with it.
Helium-3.
Yeah,
Helium-3, that's what it is.
Helium-3, yeah.
And that, again, in the ufology fields, they've been saying that it's been mined for years. They have been up there mining it, but it's something where things were planted when they were up there, and they've been mining from that. Now, again, I know.
Material being used for? What is this application?
I have no idea. I would think it has something to do with energy. If it's helium, I would think it has something to do with energy. But again, these are things that are talked about, but there's no way really to definitively prove it, because when people start coming out with actual public information, they disappear. The person disappears, or they get discredited to the point where, by the time they get things out, people disregard it because they've now been discredited. And again, it's the same MO. When there's something with a hint of truth to it, watch the actions that surround the person who's telling the truth. It was one of the reasons why Operation Bluebeam or Project Bluebeam, whatever you want to call it, Bluebeam interested me so much. It was like Phil Schneider. The information came out. He did his rounds. He did his public speaking, and he died very, very quickly after that. And there was always a lot of questions surrounding his death. Same thing with Phil Schneider. And Phil Schneider was the one who talked about the underground tunnel system and the fact that we had technology underground that could take you from one side of our country to the other in a matter of minutes. So again, whenever there's a truth to it, you can guarantee the person who's telling the truth is either going to die, disappear, commit suicide somehow, shoot themselves in the back of the head, that type of suicide.
Yeah.
Or, they're going to get discredited to the point where they can't do anything, completely blacklisted. So it's really horrifying to have to say this about my own government because, some of this stuff could really so be used for the advantage of society. We have so many problems in society that could be absolutely handled, and the population wouldn't be an issue. And that's what gets me. This whole population overpopulation situation, that's crap.
Yeah.
That is crap. Why? Because 90% of the Earth's population lives on the seashores. Okay, yeah, you're going to get overpopulated when everybody's squishing into the same space, but I always tell my favorite example, I dare you. Because that is one big state, or even Alaska. Go up to
I was
Alaska.
thinking Canada and Australia. Yeah.
Yeah, because let me tell you something. You go through a whole lot of nothing but rattlesnakes when you're driving through Texas. Like nothing but rattlesnakes, cattle, maybe a tree here and there. People? No. In fact, I was laughing because the most comical thing I saw in Texas was like hours and hours and hours of nothing except cattle and once in a while a tree. And then I see an ice skating rink. And I'm like, what? I took a picture of it because I was like, why is there an ice skating rink off of I-10 and there's literally nothing? As far as the eye can see, there's no mountains to even block my view. Yeah.
Do they get customers? Do they?
I don't know. I couldn't figure out who puts an ice skating rink. What the heck? But then I thought out there, everything is so sparsely populated and so widely spread out that people would probably drive an hour or two to get to an ice skating rink. So it was probably central to like little towns that are out there. But do not sit there and have the balls to tell me we are overpopulated. What?
When you were talking about strange deaths and stuff, especially with the scientific community, you remember Marconi, GEC, where they had those 20 scientists who died under bizarre or suicidal actually circumstances. They had this one guy, somehow he had taken a noose, put it on his neck, and was able to sit on the back of his convertible freaking front seat and was able to hit the gas pedal and allow himself to hang from the tree while the car drove away.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the things they sell the public, and I got to tell you, if you really want to go on a rabbit hole chase on strange deaths, actually, I got to wait because got to take our last break of the night. I just looked up at the clock. All right, guys, I will continue this though when we come back from break. Hang in there. We'll return with the Vixen's Vault with our last segment in just a few minutes.
All right. Well, tonight you're really good on your breaks. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm trying to be. I knew David was tired when he said he was really tired at the top of the show. I was like, you know what? I'm going to keep an eye on the clock because I knew he was not 100% there.
Yeah, he wasn't feeling good.
I got to tell you guys, in fact, Ralphie and I did a show for Odyssey on this particular subject. Ralphie, do you remember doing it on the chiropractors that were dying?
No.
Ralphie.
We had Doc Weston in on that one. Yes.
Yep. Because they were dying. It was crazy. They were getting murdered. They were getting poisoned. And it was a ton of them. It wasn't like one or two. It was crazy.
Thought he was next.
Yes, I remember that.
They had a secret society, though. You know that, right?
Well, this had to do with actually, what was it? Was it B17? It had something to do with the vitamins and the vaccinations.
Yep.
And they were just, anybody who had written a paper about it was getting picked off. And it was such a pattern. It was like, there's no way you can't see this.
Yeah, and all of them were students of G. Edward Griffin.
Yep. I remember that.
Elon Musk, his grandfather was a chiropractor, and that was something that I wanted to start out with on this year's for conspiracy. And we haven't gotten through all of it yet, but they were.
Didn't we touch on that?
We started
touch on that. Yeah.
He was a real big. He played a big part in Canada's autocracy movement. that was taking place during World War II.
Nice.
Wobbly Toes, a secret society of chiropractors.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, there
I
you
know.
go.
It caught me
I gotta
off
tell you
guard, too.
though, Wobbly, the one thing I do have several friends that are chiropractors, and the one thing I will say about them, and Chuck Weston fits the bill perfectly. They're not taught like normal doctors are taught. They are the most conspiracy minded group of people I have ever seen in my life. Like as a whole, you find more conspiracy minded people in the chiropractic field than you do anywhere else.
I don't know
it's
why. I really don't know why.
because they're taught multiple. They're
Yeah.
taught multiple
I'm
methods
being
of medicine.
facetious, Nancy. All right.
Yeah. Yep. They don't stick to one style of medicine. They're not pharma. That's why
Yeah.
they are not pharma, and they're not taught as pharma.
I ran into that accidentally because I found out about barbers. They were the original blood people. They were the ones that did the blood transfusions and stuff. That's why they have that candy cane over the top of their doors. That's where you,
Did you hear?
It's kind of freaky. Just gonna put that out there. Kind of freaky.
Did you hear that? Ahmadinejad just came back. You know, he was supposed to have been assassinated, and now
You know-
he's alive.
You know that when I go to the barber, I ask him. I said, "Are the leeches fresh today?"
Actually, guys, what Vicky just said was actually kind of important. Vicky,
Sorry.
repeat that. No, it's okay. Repeat it, Vic.
Oh, Ahmadinejad, who was allegedly assassinated, was just, cited, and you see a picture of him, and so he's back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say a quote that Vicky will know what I'm quoting. I'm going to say a quote: "The alive are dead, and the dead are alive."
Mhm.
And that's all I'm going to say.
I'm just
another-
wondering the point
You're
of
30 seconds, folks.
It said to watch where he goes from here.
Yep.
So,
All right, and I'm going to actually screenshot something. And
I heard that. Now, did they confirm that that was actually him, though? 'Cause I know
Yeah,
they had him on
It's
him.
photos.
It's him.
That's kind of cool. 'cause
Okay, here's your countdown: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're back live and on the radio side right now.
And we're back, 10:29 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, March the 4th, 2026. Welcome back to the Vixen's Vault. Hey, that was kind of sing-songy. So on the break, we had, we have the most interesting conversations on the break sometimes. But I was, discussing with them, one of the greatest rabbit holes I've ever been into when it came to people getting killed off are chiropractors. And I had done a show on it years ago, and we had interviewed a good friend of ours, good friend of the show, Dr. Charles Weston, who is a chiropractor, has a very successful business in the Carolinas. And literally, we were discussing how these chiropractors were basically discussing in their papers before they died about the incredible healing effects of B17 and the fact that they used to give you B17 shots in the 60s because they were so good for you. And then the FDA came through and banned them. And of course, Big Pharma put in replacements for B17. And I think you can still get B17 naturally, like through, I want to say apricots. There's different ways you can get it naturally in your system, but not something you really can get. You're not going to get a good form of it if you buy it like online or something like that, because they just don't produce it anymore. Why? Because it has a lot of healing power to it. It's got regenerative power to it. And
That's true for Europe as well.
I don't know, because Europe is, but you guys, see, you all are wholly different from us in the way that, like, you have to get a prescription for vitamins and herbs. Here, you just go to the damn store.
Well, I can get vitamin C, vitamin D quite easily. Just walk down to the local drugstore and so else you would say.
But what I'm saying is, like,
Just
I
pick
can
up
go
these
to Dollar General, which is, it's like a crappy little line of stores, probably probably owned by the Chinese or the Indians, but they're everywhere, and get vitamins or herbs. In fact, I can find valerian root at Dollar General, and I would understand why they would require a prescription for valerian root, but to me, no. It's literally the only way you could overdose on that stuff. You really can't. It would make you throw up if you took too much, but you'd fall asleep before you got enough of it in your mouth. It is strong. I mean, Rafi actually uses it as a supplement to help him sleep because it is probably one of the most effective sleep aids out there, bar none.
And well, except for kava.
Well, right, but it doesn't have the side effects that the pharmaceuticals have.
Right.
So it's non-addictive. It doesn't give you the hangover feeling. And it really puts you into they call it natural Xanax because it puts you into a very relaxed state, and off you go to sleep. But on top of that, I posted into the chat something that segues with the conversation of people dying, people disappearing, the space program, how people who made statements, something happened to them, they got nixed. And I actually posted today, follow the dots. It's like a bunny poop trail. And it says, what's happening to our space scientists? MIT plasma physicist murdered, Caltech astrophysicist murdered, retired Air Force Major General associated to the U.S. programs vanishes. This all happened within a month. And I have posted every single thing that I have posted and talked about it. The MIT plasma physicist scientist, you guys remember the Rhode Island college campus shooting?
Yeah. Yes.
The guy who did that took this guy out first. And you notice we haven't heard a word about that guy. Nothing. The press hasn't said a word. Nothing. What?
Okay, I'm just going to play devil's advocate again, and suggest that it could be just a coincidence.
That was not a coincidence. He knew the guy.
Yeah, he did.
It went back historically.
He was a student.
No way. Nope.
He was a student.
Yep. And then last week was the Caltech astrophysicist, because I saw that as soon as that posted. I posted it on my Facebook because I was like, oh yeah, here we go. Right away I'm like, oh yeah, there's something going on, and they're picking these people off. So either they know about the blue beam and they're going to go public, or they don't know about it but they suspect.
Yeah, but you guys are way off. You know who the secret societies are behind all this? It's the same ones that are behind the chiropractors, like I was saying. It's the Theosophical Society and the freaking Rosicrucianists. They've been around.
Actually, the Rosicrucianists, yes, you're right.
Well, see, the Theosophical Society is the one who got this new version of the Rosicrucianists up and going. So they're all connected. You see what I mean?
Aren't they all
the
Rosicrucians?
The Rosicrucians went silent in Europe. And they went silent in the 1800s, and it said that they went off to like the Middle East, and that was the last they heard of them. Then they resurfaced here in the United States, in California and Florida.
Yep, and actually they were in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
That's what people don't talk about. The Rosicrucianists were they were in Cuba, they were down in Barbados, and this is all during the time period they were supposed to be in the Far East.
Right.
They were absolutely here.
And the Scientologists are also the ones who finally exposed the counterparts that were going against the chiropractics. The chiropractics, they were called they were a secret society called the Quackery, and their sole purpose was to get rid of chiropractics. And the Scientologists were the ones who finally infiltrated them and exposed them for what they were doing, and that's why chiropractics were never able to be admitted into the American Medical Association.
I'm kind of happy they weren't, being very honest with you, because I am not a personal fan of chiropractors. To me, like I said, when I got my accident, one of the first things a lawyer tells you to do is go see a chiropractor. And I thank God I was
That
a
would
little
have killed
hesitant.
you.
I
Mhm.
didn't know I had a brain injury yet because they didn't diagnose it at the hospital. It took my nose exploding with blood everywhere for me to go back to a hospital and get diagnosed. If they had tried to adjust my neck, which, by the way, they also didn't diagnose, and I had crushed discs in it, it would have ended very badly.
Very bad.
If you want to find out any information about those guys, learn about D.D. Palmer. And he was one of the founders of the chiropractic practices in the 19th century, and he was affiliated with the Theosophical Society and a lot of other spiritualists.
Yep,
And
yep.
And
You know what? Years.
Trump just replaced the Lloyd's of London insurer of the Strait of Hormuz.
Trump
So guess what?
did.
Yes, he did. Just saw that post. Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Woohoo.
And I keep saying to people, I'm telling you, the British Empire, not the British people, are a target. They're a target for
They
Trump.
removed them. Yeah. Well, he's
Yep.
getting
It's and it's not got anything. It's not personal. It's got everything to do with the banking system.
and the
1,000%.
interference.
Yep.
And
Yep.
the
And the
election.
and the Russia, because freaking MI6 was butt deep into the whole reason why they tried to impeach him the first time, which was Russian collusion. That was Peter Steele, and it was a hot mess and a big lie, and it was endorsed by MI6. So, hey Vic, I can hear you.
Sorry. I was
Is the
explaining
current
what
is the current issue with Britain and Iran and Britain and Trump also mainly about Starmer and Baron Hermes?
No, I think it goes deeper than that, Mark. It goes a lot deeper. A lot of the people that I think Trump is after, you don't hear their names in the press. That's the thing. I mean, the Rothschilds are the best target to paint, but that's not necessarily who he's actually after. I think Prince Andrew was definitely a target.
Yeah.
I think the royal family, the British royal family in of itself is a target. I think that the banking system over there is a target.
That's for sure. Yeah.
But
Again,
we're one of the biggest financial institutions in the world, if not the biggest financial.
Yeah.
Britain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which would mean that what? Which would mean what, Mark? That would mean all these big, horrible bullshit events or propaganda were financed by who? Yeah. Think about it. So you can't destroy something unless you remove its ability to mobilize and be financed. So the first strike you got to do is take out the money.
Yep.
It is just it's a strategy that's as plain as the eyes on your face.
Yeah, because
if they don't have money,
you hobble them.
Yep, you have to.
But then
You
again,
have
I would argue anything to get rid of our current government. I mean, our current government, I will admit, I am embarrassed by. So yeah.
Well, I mean, we're the same banking system, Mark. That's the thing. United States, I mean, we can sit here and point out Chase Bank, but they are all financed by what? You guys. So the fact is when Trump takes out your financial system, he's taking ours out with it.
Yeah.
Okay,
And also
because Israel, that's it. Because
I mean,
that's doing damage internationally.
Yeah, what is it? The Vatican, City of London.
Oh God, the
and
Vatican.
DC.
Yep.
Those are the big three right there.
Yep. And that was funny because like a week ago, I saw an article about the Vatican basically resealing their vault because they had allowed certain access to certain areas of the vault with permission, and now they're cutting that off completely. And I thought, yeah, because there is nothing left in the vault.
Yep, it's all gone.
It's all gone. And again,
election interference.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because people aren't. I think now people are starting to see the picture a little bit, but they don't understand it yet.
Right. They really don't.
You're not gonna understand it unless you know all the background on it. And it's like, I kept telling you guys, I was seeing the pieces coming together going, holy crap, this is going to be the most interesting tale to tell your grandchildren someday. How are we going to explain how this all went down someday? Because it is the biggest lie and production
Yep.
ever.
It's mind
Ever.
blowing.
They had to lie bigger than the liars to catch the liars.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
that
you
messer
just
became the messer.
shake your head and you're like, oh my God. But there's so much evidence that shows you what they're actually doing. You just have to be able to see it. And if you're just listening to the noggins on the news and everybody who's making money from what's going on by either hating Trump or loving Trump, and I think it was you I said it to, Vicky, where I was like, Trump really doesn't give a shit what people think about him.
No,
That's what you got to understand. This man went to war with this man, got arrested. He got all these things have happened to this man. Do you think he would have allowed that to happen if he really gave a shit what people think?
Well, what he thinks about the U.S. and America is much more important to him than what, he loves the
It
country.
is
Good thing, right? In one way, that's good. That he doesn't give a damn what people think.
Well, that's it, but it's to his advantage.
Yeah.
That's what you're not getting. It's a strategy. Because
You
if
have to be
people
tough.
hate him, he is literally forcing his enemies to reveal all of their weaknesses.
Yep.
And it's them doing it.
It's brilliant.
Like things Anons have said for 10 years now. We've been banging pans, going, hello, Israel's not good, hello. I mean, we've been doing it for 10 years, and some people listened, most people didn't, unless there was a trauma going on. Like COVID was a trauma, a lot of people started looking at Q. But now you're past the fact that because Q drops had already stopped at that point. But people were starting to read up on it. Why? Because they were bored and they were trapped in their homes. Again, are you seeing where I'm going with this? That's kind of a game plan, if you think about it. Because it revealed things. But now things are gelating and it's manifesting. Q kept saying, it has to be this way.
Right.
Why would it have to be this way? It's the only way it could happen. Because Trump, there's such a hatred to him. It's so vitriolic. Okay, the public, if you either love him or you hate him. Okay, there's no in between. And the people who love him are always going to say, well, wait a minute. He's a really good negotiator. He understands psychology. Well, let's just hold our judgment until things manifest a little further before I say I'm happy or I'm mad with him. People who hate him just hate him and automatically jump to whatever opposite of what Trump's saying, they will jump to. And then they push it. Yeah. Oh, Orange Man bad. We want the Epstein files. Well, now Hillary Clinton is screaming like a shrieking banshee in a Congress hearing because she's getting questioned on the Epstein files.
Yeah, I don't know the man. I don't know him.
Oh my God. You're not allowed to take pictures of me. Okay. Snap.
What was it?
We've never met him. Why was Ghislaine Maxwell at your daughter's wedding then? Right up front. Oh, God.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So who's I can't think of her name, but I can see her face distinctly. The actress and commentator that now the black women that does the View.
Whoopi Goldberg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw something about not that long ago where she was sort of in favor of releasing the Epstein files, and then as soon as her name popped up, she took completely the different direction, the opposite direction.
Well, I think what bothers me with the Epstein files, I think what we're getting is not. It is partially accurate. There's a lot of correct information in there, but there's also information that was added. Why? Because they've had the Epstein files now for close to a decade.
Also,
all right.
It's not just about names being added or redacted. It's also about anybody who has ever had any sort of contact with Epstein, irrelevant of the situation, irrelevant of the reason.
Right,
It's
like
a bit of a
Elvis.
witch hunt thing going on.
Right,
Well, it's
like
turning
Elvis
into
Presley
it's turning into a
is in the
joke.
Epstein.
Like the information they're putting out on X and everything is just a complete joke. You go in there and you see those emails these idiots are posting, and they're just ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they're making it into
Again,
a joke like Pizzagate was. You know what I mean?
but they're doing that. Why? Because that's how they're trying to fight it or combat it.
Make it look like
And
it's just stupid, and so nobody would pay attention to it, and they just slide it right up under the rug.
but in the interim, here's what I love. What people are noticing is, again, this is old news to the Trump administration. Okay, they knew this in the first administration. This is old news to them. So they've had 4 friggin' years to plan how they were going to execute this. Because while people are bickering and posting emails and, oh, Trump did this and, oh, so-and-so did that, and both sides are doing it constantly. While that's happening, again, we had swoops this week. I think it was another 100,000 children got recovered. So
we have a similar sort of situation in this country with the rape gang issue. Information has been allegedly available for at least 12 years now. And and a lot of public officials could be compromised because of
big time. Big time. And the fun thing, here's another fun fact, and I keep saying this to people because I just cannot believe how short memoried people are. I'm like, guys, there's a lot in the Epstein files, but a lot of what's in the Epstein files is actually also in the Assange drops, the WikiLeaks dumps. It's just basically information transplanted from one to the other. And it may be written differently, maybe different authors, but it is the same information. There was a lot of information in the WikiLeaks dumps. That's why they wanted Assange so badly. They had to shut him up quickly. And here's the thing, we don't even have a quarter of his files. We don't have the McAfee files yet.
Yeah, but see,
And
the stuff with
McAfee is another one.
Assange, the stuff with Assange's files, though, is they got corrupted because somebody went in and started pretending that WikiLeaks information was going in, and it was actually coming from Reddit, if you'd remember.
Correct.
And
Correct.
That just blew it all out of the water.
But
as far as McAfee is concerned, he's been compromised because of
I don't think McAfee's dead. I do not think John McAfee is dead. You could not convince me in a million years that John McAfee is dead. It's kind of like with Epstein. When I looked at the pictures of what they were saying with Jeff Epstein, and again, it doesn't take a genius to look at a picture of Jeff Epstein and look at that body and say, that is not the same person. It is not. Physically, it is not the same person. Your ears do not change their shape with death. No. I mean, and again, I had somebody say to me, well, that's pushing it a little far. And I'm like, okay, you guys act like when Epstein was spotted in Israel. And I'm not saying that was Jeff Epstein, because I honestly believe he is probably a WITPRO or WITSEC. But I will say that every single government official we've got that's high up, whether it's the United States, whether it's England, whether it's Spain, Poland, does not matter. They all have body doubles. Every single one of them have a body double. And those body doubles are used. Trump definitely has a body double. And unless you're really looking closely, a lot of times it is really hard to tell if it is him or not. And I remember, do you guys remember when Trump got COVID and they rushed him off to the ship? Oh God, what's the name of that ship? Forget the name of it, but it was one of our naval medical facilities on the water. Okay, and he was disappeared for 3 days because he had COVID. And like 2 weeks earlier, his brother had died, Robert Trump. I'll never forget it when they first released the pictures of him supposedly coming back. It was not him, it was Robert. I remember looking at the picture and shaking my head, and looking at Robert Trump's picture and shaking my head again and going, yeah, maybe a little bit of makeup here and there, a little bit of prosthetics, but that is not Donald Trump. That is his brother. And maybe it takes somebody who, like, I am situationally aware. I look at things, I see things, and I look at them and say, "Look, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't match. It doesn't match." And I'll never forget with Jeff Epstein. Both Ralphie and I are both looking at the picture, going, "That is not him. Not him. Nope. Can't even believe the public is buying this."
That's not even because Lane Maxwell's still in prison.
It's like I
They
said,
swapped
it's
her out.
crazy. It's crazy. And you sound crazy when you say these things, but I always think to myself, the CIA played this so well.
They did.
Because, when sometimes the farthest thing from what you thought could be the truth is the truth, they are in their safest place. Because you sound crazy when you're saying it. People cannot get their heads around it. They don't want to get their heads around it. The problem with
conspiracy theory.
The problem with
Well-
even what surfaced recently in the Epstein files was something about Obama's chef, and I remember talking about that when he turned up dead. Remember, he was floating. They were all doing the paddle boarding at Obama's place up in the Northeast, and the chef just ends up floating by like dead, and everybody said, "What the hell is that?" I mean, how does that
Martha's
happen?
Vineyard.
Yeah, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Something surfaced in the Epstein files that kind of correlated to the fact that one of the reasons he may have been murdered was because he was asked to cook human flesh, and he refused.
Oh.
He was trained by Richard Branson's chef.
Yep.
Oh.
It was and I thought, this is something Raphael did a highlight on this when we were on the air about, the Cannibal Club and stuff like that. And he went into really in-depth information about it, basically showing, hey, this is proof. And what he did was he did it exactly like an investigator would do it, where he had bullet points lined up. And to sit there and have people say, well, it's just a rumor. No, it's not a rumor, folks. People were serving human flesh in a restaurant. It was not a rumor.
That's just gross.
Yeah.
Well,
And it's a horrible thing to think about.
You hear all these reports where they're finding human DNA in a lot of the meats that we eat. And it's not just going to McDonald's. I'm talking about hot dogs, ground beef. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. I mean, what are they going to do with all the body parts? They can't eat it all. They need, they still got to make their adrenochrome, but they can't eat it all. So what are they going to do with it? They just blend it in with your
cement.
Cement.
Yep. And but it does explain a lot of the sudden mental illnesses, bipolar, all these weird neural issues that we seem to be having as of late. Not I always thought even autism, I know it connects to vaccines, but it could connect to that too. If there is human flesh in our food, you cannot eat human flesh, especially not on a regular basis. You cannot. It will destroy you.
So are you suggesting that I was going to say, are you suggesting that a large population of US citizens are suffering from CJD?
Yep. Well, actually, look at Merkel. Don't you remember with Merkel? She was diagnosed with a disease that literally is a disease of cannibalism. I mean,
It started with a C.
Yep, I know. I can't remember the name of it.
Cujo.
Yep. Yep, but
It's not that.
yeah, you're right. It was like Cujo or something like that, but it is literally a cannibalism disease. And yeah, it got they made a thing about it, but they didn't explain what the disease was, and then it was never talked about again. And it's like, hello, she's eating people. She has to have that disease.
Well, supposedly the Obamas got involved in this with the sending their chef over to train with Branson's chef, but they apparently Michelle has she loves the human jerky and they also the baby pate.
Oh God, that's gross. All right, guys, with that, I got to sign the show off for the evening. I'm actually going over. I hope y'all enjoyed it. We will be back again next week, hopefully with lots more fun things to talk about.
Kuru.
We're out of here.
That's the disease.
We're out of here. Have a great night. What is it, Kuru?
All right,
Yeah.
gotcha. Do you want to do an after show? If you want to, if not, that's fine with me.
No, I'm gonna
I
hop off
can't.
only because I really badly injured my ankle and I am like struggling right now. So I am gonna jump.
Okay.
All right, I am going to host out to the Great Conspiracy.
Love you guys. Good
Over
night. And
on
Good night. Happy
Kick.
birthday.
thank
If
you.
you're on
Roger,
Kick,
send me that birthday song.
stick around.
Ow,
Good night, everybody. Mark, I saw her. I called you a cherry.
Good night. Good night. Me,
ow. What? Good night.
See you guys later.
We do.
How would a race of people have ever developed naturally on a planet where their own skin can't protect them properly from their own sun's radiation? So, how do we account for the fact that white skinned people are here on a planet where they should not exist? And, once again, it all leads us back to the Anunnaki.
Do you need a break? Life getting way too crazy? Don't you think you need some time for yourself? Does the smell of dirty diapers and the sound of crying and screaming children making you want to pull every one of your hairs out? We have the solution for any one of your personal needs. Here at the Fairy Tale Daycare Center, our professional staff members have thousands of years dealing with all sorts of shenanigans from all walks of life. And we specialize in special needs children, and we do mean special needs. We have educational activities and a state-of-the-art playground fit for all types of physical needs. We provide an exceptional nutrition program for all dietary types and restrictions. We are the only child care center facility open to the public 24/7 for any expected or unexpected occasion. Here at Fairy Tale Daycare Center, we are very proficient in meeting every single need of every single child of every race, any sex, every species, and any and every creed. W37 off of Park Ave at the subway entrance. To set up an appointment, call 1-888-666-0666. We hope to hear from you or see you soon. Make us the right choice.